You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey folks, welcome to the Thursday night Beans and Podcast live call-in show.
Beans and what? Wah, wah, wah. Beans and Dice podcast live call-in show.
We
We'll
are a
leave it at the
podcast.
dice today.
Yeah, no dice. Just
Beans
beans.
and
Just beans.
It's been a
Anyway.
long work day.
Woo!
It's been a long work day, but I'm glad to be here with y'all. Y'all, who are y'all? I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Wayne.
There's y'all.
There's
That's the y'all right
That is
there.
That's the y'alls. The yuns.
Missing some fun friends tonight. Kind of been missing them for a little while though. They've
Yeah.
been busy.
Yeah, Mike's been gone for a while. Haven't seen Dan on here in a little bit. William.
William,
Yeah, hasn't been on here. William Sepulveda. We've had the other William, the Nerdy Weds William, calling in, which has been nice. But yeah.
So you get us three schlubs again.
Yeah.
And tonight, phone lines will open around 9:30. Hopefully sometime before that. But before we get started, part of the plan is we'll talk a little bit about games that we played, some hot news topics that we want to get to. We'll go through the Discord and see what the folks at home have been playing. So I'm gonna check out the recents there, and we will first start off with a giveth the beans.
Give it the beans.
Robert, are you ready to give the beans?
I'm ready to give the beans, not give it the beans, but
Gonna-
yes.
give it the beans.
Okay.
To this game here. We're gonna give this
Gonna
game the
fight
beans.
that forever.
We're gonna
Give him the beans.
Give it
yes,
the
I am.
beans.
Not going to give up on that.
Proper English.
Anyway, yep.
We're gonna give it the beans on this little title from Oink Games, 2022 title.
2022, huh? Wow.
Spiel, I think it was 22. Spiel nominee, but not winner.
Okay, you looked that up. Okay, because we talked about that the other day.
Well, there's a sticker on the box.
It does say nominee and not winner. Oh, it does say nominee, not winner. No,
Yes.
no. It
Does it
not.
really say nominee and not
German.
winner?
In German, sure. In German, yeah. We don't know German.
Everything's angry in German.
I think it's 2019,
nominee-
actually, not 2020.
Oh, is it a 2019?
No.
We didn't get it
2019.
here stateside.
No, it came here late, yes.
Very late.
Yeah.
It was in Europe for
Yeah.
about a year before it came over here.
So not cool.
Yep.
Nominee Scout for the Show, a card game by Oink Games. Designer is Kaijinu.
15 minutes of this.
KEI.
Kaiju? No.
I'm done. Last week it was a French guy. This week I can't get names right.
Screw it.
Gotta stick to
All right,
American
so-
games.
Yes. Ameritrash. Score.
Anyway, Scout.
In Scout, you're looking at for the basics. All right, give it the beans. What do we do? When we give it the beans, we talk about the basics, the enjoyment, the aesthetics, the negatives, and the summary. That's the beans of the review. Scout, small box, and in the basics of the game is it is a card shedding game
Card shedding, yeah.
where you're trying to reduce your hand completely out to be the first one out.
Cards are bad.
Cards are bad. You're going to do that by playing sets of cards from your hand. A set can be one. One is a set, or more cards. And then you're going to do that in a way that beats the current or active hand that is on the table. There's going to be a player eventually, starting with the first player, you're going to have a hand that hits the table. And it's going to be a set of one or more cards that are either matching cards or a run of cards. I'm going to call it a run. The rule book uses something else, but I'm going to use the word run.
Run. People know run. Yeah.
Yes, people know runs. Just like Popeyes.
I know the runs from Popeyes.
2019.
Anyway,
Escape WinterCon.
separate topic. Let's keep going. Bad memories.
So it would be matching cards or runs. One is a run. One is a matching card on its own. So one card could be out there. So now the next player will attempt to either show a better show by playing a stronger hand. A stronger hand consists of more cards than the active hand that is currently there.
Or better.
Or equal number of cards, but a better run or a better match.
Yep.
So if Rob's got a pair of twos on the table, me having a pair of threes would beat his pair of twos. If Rob had a run of 3, 4, 5, my run of 4, 5, 6 would be a better show. And what happens when I play my cards out, I then take Rob's cards that I beat and bring them into my stockpile as points. So each one of those cards counts as a point. If I am not able to show a better hand than what's active on the table, I have the option to scout the namesake. When I scout, I can take one of the cards from Rob's hand or from Rob's
From a
display,
Yep.
his active hand set that's out there, display, and I can take from either the far left or the far right of that set. If it was like 5 cards, right, I would only be able to take from the left or the right of that set and bring that into my hand, and then the next player would go. If it gets back to Rob in 3, 4, or 5 players, if it gets back around to Rob and no one has been able to show a better hand than Rob, then the player who had the active hand, that ends the round. We're going to score. Another way to end the round is if someone shows and they have no cards left in their hand. Those are the 2 ways to end the round. Then you're going to score. When you score, you're going to get points for every card that you collected for showing better shows than other active hands that are out there, right? And you're going to get points for when someone scouts. I didn't mention, when someone scouts from your hand, you get $1. You get this nice, fancy dollar. So every point you get can come from every time somebody scouts from your hand. You're going to get points. But then you're going to have negatives. For every card left in your hand, it's going to be -1 point. The player who was out, who triggered the end of the round, either by playing all of their cards or by coming back around to them and no one having beat their show, that player does not take a penalty for any cards left in their hand if they have any. You will play a number of rounds equal to the number of players, 3, 4, or 5, and then you score up your points and end it. Sounds like a basic card game.
Yep.
The fun part is in the cards.
Yeah.
The cards themselves remind me of dominoes, and that's because these cards are top and bottom. What do we call this, guys?
I don't know. They're like you mentioned dominoes.
Like
which
they
was an
remind me of
interesting thing.
dominoes.
Yeah, different
Yeah,
numbers on
it's
both
basically,
sides. Yeah.
There's different because you got. I think it goes up to 10.
Yeah.
And there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a 10 of each.
You take some out with less players, but yeah.
Right, and then the cards are vertical. You can swap it anyway. But the issue is when you get your hand sent to you, you are not allowed to modify, either reorganize or flip around any individual cards in your hand. You're going to get a hand of cards, sometimes like 12,
13,
11, 10
yeah.
cards in your hand, depending on the number of players, is what you're going to start with. And you can't go, oh, you know what? I want to put this 9 over here between this 8 and this 10 so I can. No, you can't do that. You cannot change your card order to make the hands. You need to play with what you got.
You can flip it over.
At the beginning, on the first deal, almost like a mulligan, you can choose to flip it, like I just did, and play that side. So you would decide which orientation are you going to play in. But from that point on, your hand is stuck. Wayne, you mentioned this is like Bonanza.
Yeah, it's like what Rana Kutzia's bean game, the Bonanza. Because when you get the cards, you can't change the order. It doesn't have the flipping mechanism like this game has, but it does have trading. And in the bean game, you can try to trade cards out of your hand to get the order you want. So you know, when you play beans in the bean game, or you flip beans to add to your fields, you can then offer up trades to try to get cards out of hand. So like if you wanted to get that 9 out of the middle and get the 2 8s together, you could offer someone the 9, and then they would put it back in their hand in an order.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I've been
similar,
Rob and I were just talking.
Yeah, we like that
We were
part.
all 3 talking pre-show that that's a game I want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Scout, what you would normally do is if you're the first player, you would start off by maybe taking this 9 out, playing that as your set, right? So that would be my set for this hand. This will make it the active hand. And then what it does is allows my 2 8s to come together because I played that one card by
Oh,
itself.
so you
right?
don't have to play right to left or left to right. You can play in any order, but it has to be, you can't reorder the cards. I thought you had to
Right.
play from left to right.
No, you can play from anywhere in
Okay.
your hand, in your splay, but they have to be in touching each other. They have to be
Gotcha.
in
That makes
yeah,
okay.
so-
Yeah, and that's probably why I'm confused. In the bean game, you have to play from right to left, basically, or left to right. You have to choose which way you want to play your
Yeah, I can
cards,
choose
and you
any
can't.
of these sets that I have here
Right.
to
Yeah, that's
play.
right. I
I just
played
can't
a while ago.
reorganize them.
Right.
You got
right,
3 ones right there, nice together.
Oh, see, and that's the idea. You flip them, orientate to kind of see which is a good starting hand.
Orientated him.
Orientated.
Yeah, orientated.
So that's the trick there with the game.
That's the little twist, the little unique thing
Yeah.
there.
The fun part.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that's you're gonna play multiple rounds equal to the number of players and the game. We'll talk about the 2-player variant after the review because
You
that's
mentioned
completely different.
You could just touch on it, but you mentioned something about a theme to this game. I never knew there was a theme. So what's the idea here?
All right, so you're putting on shows. You've been hired to put on shows, and every single card, y'all, every single card has a name and has an act or like this, like number one, Daniel, he's a clown, right? And then there's Daniel on the other side, and it's a trampoline. So it's a different. Each card is a different person, and they have 2 acts that they can do.
Oh, this just oozes theme.
Oh, it does. Here's clown, and here is drummer. So a clown drummer, right? So you're going to try to put together a hand. So this pair here, I would have Natalie and Daniel be doing a show, and they're both doing trampolines. Look at that.
Wow.
Duo trampoline.
Dual
And a
trampoline
placata.
show.
I would drop that there. So then Rob's goal would be to find a hand, a set in his hand that beats what I have there. And looking at his hand, he does not have anything that beats a pair of 8s. So
Five,
he
six,
would
seven? No, I don't know.
he would have to. I don't see a
I
run.
know, that was-
He would have to scout my hand and put it into his hand, and he can choose to put it in any orientation when it comes into his hand. So he might put it over here with this 8 and get a pair of 8s there. And then I would get a point from this because Rob scouted me. And then we go around. If it comes back around to me and no one was able to play a better show than I did, I end the round.
Yeah, one of the cool things, I don't know, I'm trying to look here, we're not getting off into other aesthetics or anything, but no, one of the cool things is that as people take those cards, as they scout the cards off of the table, off of what you showed, it makes that display weaker and weaker and weaker, because every time it loses a card, it was a pair of 8s. I scouted an 8, assuming a 3-player game. The next person after me, now instead of having to beat a pair of 8s, they only have to beat a single 8. So they can play a 9. They
could also someone else can also scout that 8.
They could just pick it up. Now
right?
there's nothing to beat.
And now the hand is 0, and the next
Yeah.
player can play any card from their hand and beat that.
Yeah. So it's got a couple of neat little twists to it.
Oh, lots of twists. Let's talk enjoyment.
Enjoyment.
So Wayne and Rob, go ahead, lead off.
I played it a few times. I think last year at your turn con, and I think one other time. It's just quick, right? It's a great filler game.
Yep.
It's the game to start off the night. We're waiting for people to show up for game night. You can get at the table, play 1 or 2 rounds of it, and then move on to bigger games, or play a bigger game and you're getting some food or taking a short break. You can bust this out and create it. It's also fairly easy. I mean, it's not, really the hardest part is figuring out how to play the tricks or how to play the
when you
the
first
combos.
explain the game to everybody, everybody's face goes, but
Right,
as
but
soon
it's
as they
like
do it
super
one
simple
time,
once you actually
one
play it,
time you got it. Yep.
Yeah, so the enjoyment is just, it's super light, very straightforward. It's a good, but it has that, one little sort of difference that makes it a different kind of trick taking game than others. And that's the no reordering the cards, and then the flipping thing is really nice, where you can manipulate the cards. So.
Yep, that's the 2 biggest things for me are how quick it is. I mean, and especially in lower player counts, 3 players, like you say, we play 3 rounds because each person just deals once, and so that can be over in 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes at the most for 3 players. A little bit longer as you go to 4 and 5. It plays up to 5, I believe.
Yes.
But 5 is a little more fun because there's a lot more people scouting stuff, pulling shows apart, and so the game goes a little bit longer per round. I found with lower player counts, it actually exponentially gets faster. With higher player counts, it exponentially goes a little bit the other way.
Yeah, because with 3 players,
Yeah.
there's only 2 chances for the other players to weaken and play something better
Right.
than the high hand, the active hand.
So if you pop a 4 of a kind or something out there, you pretty much got it wrapped up. So yeah, so that's it's nice. So the quick is the one thing. Simple is good. And then card shedding was the other big thing for me. Not a whole lot of card shedding games out there. There are, I know. What's the other one? Wayne just said a minute ago. Not card shedding. The other type of the Crew. What kind of game is that? Trick taking. Trick taking became super popular. Took off. There's trick taking games everywhere you look now. Card shedding is another.
Look, under here,
Oh, you
trick
got- you
taking.
got trick
Found
taking.
another
Oh,
one.
trick taking.
Found another one.
Under there, under the table.
Although
But,
this
anyway.
is kind of a trick taking game also, because you're trying to shed cards out of your hand, but you're
Yeah.
trying to play cards that or you're going to try to beat, right? So that you can beat it
Yeah.
and then take the trick. Like to me, I viewed the trick as the cards I'm taking off the table for points because
Okay,
I beat it,
yeah.
so I took the trick.
A little
I'm
twist
sorry,
on it,
I'm shedding cards, but I'm also taking a trick.
Yeah. So I like the card shedding part of it because there's just that's a fun mechanic. I like that mechanism, and I don't see a whole bunch of them real popular right now. So
All right. Everything the guys said are things that I enjoy. One of the feelings that I enjoy about this game, I remember growing up playing cards like in middle school and high school, in the cafeteria, games like Tonk, right? Games where you're slamming cards down in order to like beat someone else's hand, right? Most of the time, many games are more of, all right, everybody plays something, and then we evaluate to see who wins what. Here it's like I know I'm going to be dropping a set of cards that's stronger than that, and not only do I drop that stronger hand, I also sweep the table and grab your cards from in front of you and bring them into my score pile. So it's kind of that competitive, blagada, look at that. I got trips. I'm taking your points coming over here. Kind of just feels good. Card games, I've always enjoyed them. There's a nice feeling to the kinetic feel of holding cards, shuffling cards, dealing cards that I miss. But this game also gives you a thinkiness that's, I think it's almost deceptive. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel like I'm putting together some really cool stuff, but I'm still not certain that this game really has that much skill factor in it.
Yeah, it's a lot of luck. Yeah.
Because the scoring has really, in all the games that we've played, we found that the scoring tends to be a person wins, and the other people could tend to get beat pretty soundly. Yeah. So it feels like maybe their hand or their setup is what really got them there. But when I'm the guy who's winning, like I feel like, look at the plan I put together. I took that 7 out so that I can now play these 3 9s.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little
Deceptive.
bit.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like I'm an evil genius.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
There is a lot of
It's-
luck. It's just the way I've had games of this where you just get bad hand after bad hand. They just don't come together, whether you flip it one way or flip it the other way. They're equally bad. And then I've had some where you pick it up and it's like, oh, yeah, this is the perfect hand, and you're almost guaranteed to win that one. So, yeah. Anyway.
That was enjoyment.
Yep. So we got aesthetics. Well, what do we think about the cards? I can start with the cards. Nice linen finish to the cards.
Strong.
Yeah, they are definitely. They're nice. A little smaller than an average playing card. They're
Yeah, I think they're
narrower.
like almost like a Mayday size card. Can I say that? Is that a thing?
Is that not copyrighted?
I think
or
so.
something?
Yeah, they do feel like it's slightly smaller than a
Like a
regular size.
Euro style instead of American
Yeah,
sized.
definitely a little narrower. I don't know if they're a little shorter as well, end to end, but it
See
is.
if I can get the linen finish to show off.
With small hands like mine, they are nice and comfy. I like that feel to them, that they are slightly
They shuffle
smaller.
real nice.
Yeah, they do shuffle.
They
pretty
slide
nice,
across
yeah.
the table.
They're
That
good.
little air cushion on the linen.
Tokens. It comes with a bunch of tokens. There's point tokens. There's the little dollar tokens that you take to use as points. You've got these little show and scout and show.
We didn't mention,
we didn't
Scout and Show.
Yeah.
One of the mechanisms of the game is once per round, you can trade in your Scout and Show token to do just that. Take 2 actions back to back. You will scout the hand that's active on the table and then show a hand that's better than what's now on the table after your scout.
Yep.
So that's one way to get kind of like a combo. Like I need a 9 to make this run. I scout your 9 and I flip my Scout and Show so that I can show triple 9s or something.
Yeah, these tokens, they're nice, thick tokens. They're not super flimsy or anything. They're nothing special, but they do have a nice finish on them, a little bit, kind of a matte finish. But
Point scoring. Each token is double-sided. It has a positive side and a negative side. What I like about them is each of the dominations has a different shape.
That's nice, yeah.
So like there's more stars to the bigger points than there are more points on the stars
Yeah.
in the 20s than there are in the 5s. The ones are kind of like diamond shapes. So it's just an easier way to feel out what shits you need to grab. And then you're not keeping them throughout the game. You're kind of just modifying your score based on how you scored at the end of that round, and then just kind of updating what your points reflect in front of you.
Grab those chits, yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That's components.
Yeah.
Negatives.
Who's got a negative?
That 10-minute rules explanation on this tiny box game is
Yeah.
the negative I have. Rob mentioned it when you try
First
to
play.
teach it to someone.
Yeah.
It's one of these games you're like, listen, I'm going to try to explain this to you, but we're just going to play a couple rounds
Yeah.
so you can get a feel for it.
I know you
But
tried to
it-
teach it to your wife when we played the other night, and she was like, "You know what? Shut up. Let's just play. Let's just do one. I just got to see it." So-
Don't you often get that though with some of the card games like this? Like you try to teach someone spades, or you try to teach someone the mind, or you try
Yeah.
to teach someone the crew. These are very simple games, and if you've played a ton of trick takers or card shedding games, you'll get it quick, right? But if you haven't, it's like what? How does this work? So I think, yeah, it's definitely a negative because the first time you teach someone this game, it's like you said, they're like, okay. But once you've played it, and if you have this with a group, that negative goes away pretty quick because everyone knows how to play, and you just crank it out quick.
Yeah, because
the
usually the first play is pretty quick too.
Yeah, the only negative I have is like finding this at a decent price.
Oh yeah, it's
Barnes and Noble.
It's hard to get.
I
yeah.
was
Yeah, got lucky
with
there.
wifey at Barnes and Noble picking up some books for the kid, the baby girl, and right in front of the checkout,
Oh yeah.
they had like 4 or 5 of them.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, Scout, I have not seen that in the wild yet. So that worked out great.
Yeah,
My
for
negative I gotta
such a
mention-
small card game. It goes for like $25, $30, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's definitely been inflated because it was hard to find for such a long time.
22, I think it was,
Really?
at Barnes.
Yeah, that is expensive for just a deck of cards.
But that's
and
Oink. Every
handful of
Oink
tokens.
game costs
Yeah.
more than $20.
Could be.
Yeah.
I have 2 titles from Oink, and they're all over $20.
I was going to mention one other. I don't know how big a negative it is, but almost everybody, although your wife didn't, but I warned her heavily before we started, almost everybody, when they play this game the first time, you've explained it all to them, and they go and they pick up their hand and they start looking at it, they automatically want to go, oh,
I
that
did
goes
it.
over there.
I
Yeah,
did
you
it.
did it. Actually, you played this game several times. You started to do it, and you caught yourself as you were getting ready to tuck it back in. You're like, oh, no, I can't do that. So, I mean, it's just, it's a feature of the game, but it's, yeah.
You know,
Everybody wants-
I hate to compare it, but like the Bonanza Bean game, like I had that game for 15 years, and
Oh,
we've
yeah.
played it like once a year. You know, there were times we played it a ton, and even I'll be sitting there. We played it 3 or 4 times at Necronomicon this past weekend, and even in the second or third game, I'm immediately starting to like reorder the cards, and I have to catch myself and go, no, you have to leave it exactly how it was dealt to you.
Yeah.
You can't change the order. So yeah, it's just something because it's just natural reaction. You want to put things to order, right?
Yeah, I always
You've
wanna
been
put
doing it your
low
whole
to
life.
high, yeah, match
Every
up
poker
pairs
game,
and,
even
Yep.
blackjack, you only get 2 cards, but you got to move them around. you know?
Got to play with them. Yeah.
Anyway, one of the negatives that I have
Not a
has to
game for
do
Magic
with being
players.
the owner and the teacher. The owner and the teacher is not easy for this game. Part of it is Oink. This game is very complex, but Oink puts everything in this tiny box.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They put it all in this tiny little box, and then they give you this rules booklet that they shove in there. And then if oh God, folks, if you look at the font on this, like I'm
8-point
I could
font.
not read this with my glasses on. I had to, because I'm nearsighted. I had to take my glasses off and bring that bad boy in order to read it.
That's
Like
tiny.
it is tiny. And then secondly, it's translated. You can totally tell it's
Oh, yeah.
translated.
Bad translation.
It's just it's not intuitive.
The
at
grammar's
all.
not quite there, right? The grammar's a little off.
Right. There's some fuzziness. So I found myself stuck in the forums, just really trying to figure this thing out. I mean, an example would be it talks about you may show this, or the player might do this, right? No, not a might. Am I allowed to or not allowed to? Not like a may or like you must. Right? I was having trouble with confirming some things for the 2-player rules, which we'll come to at the end. So rules can be cleaned up. I guess this is a perfect size though, because this fits in my pants.
Oh,
In my pants.
In your pants. Yeah.
Is that a game of Scout in your pocket? Or are you happy to see me?
It all does fit in there. I haven't seen you put it all back in there yet, but I know I've seen people do that.
But not if you sleeve.
You do that. No. Yeah, you put the cards in. You just pour the all the tokens on top, and it all fits back in there pretty nicely. So yeah.
Yep. So those were the negatives. In summary, and I'll start off since I'm the owner.
Try buy tonight.
I did buy it,
Yeah.
and I am not upset at
No,
all.
no, yeah, it's good.
I know we've been given a lot of buys lately, but we tend to review games we like. We really don't tend to.
Yep.
And we have been given some tries. Okay, Jamie Stegmeyer, looking at you. We have given tries.
Now we got a lot of tries, yeah.
Little expeditions and yeah.
Scout, I say, is a buy.
Wayne.
I'm gonna go try. Just because the price, I think for the price, I mean 22, 23, 20, like and 22 is actually a decent price. I mean, I looked online earlier, like on Amazon, it's like $40 right now. I'm like, I'll buy a Journeys of Darwin for $40 before I buy Scout for 40. So I think for me, this is a under $20 game. So I would buy it if it was under 20, but I would try it if it's over 20.
Yeah. I could kind of agree with that, and I'm going to tell you, I didn't like it when you did it last week. You kind of hedged your bets. You kind of mentioned last week, I forget what it was. Was it Darwin that we talked about last week?
Maybe.
You said,
Yeah.
well, if you're in this crowd, then it's a buy. If you're in this crowd, it's a try.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
gonna
I just hedged my bets again. Sorry.
Well, I'm going to say I'm going to do that on this one, even though I didn't like it when you did that last week. I'm going to follow after you with this one. This one is all based on how much you like card games, and I find that people who like card games like variety in card games.
Yes.
They get bored with the standard ones that we play all the time. If you're a card game lover, then you're probably looking for the next cool card game, and this is a definite buy for anybody who enjoys
Card games.
Card games, yeah, just card games in general, just different card games. If you're a more of a board gamer and you're looking for bigger, deeper experiences, this is probably a try. I could find this being a little too light, a little too quick, a little too simple for people who might like things a little more complicated. So depending on your crowd, I think everybody should.
Rob,
try
you're gonna put
it.
that on a T-shirt?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Too late.
Too late.
Too late.
Don't like it.
I'm gonna
Well,
hire some voice
think-
actor to give me a
So when I say you can just push a button or
It's
something?
too late.
It's too late. I think if you like Rob said, though, if you have the filler games that you like to go to, are you really looking to replace filler games, or because filler games are games that you should know, that your whole game group knows, that you can just crank through quick in between bigger games. And so this might not fit that, but I could also see playing this with family once you teach them how to play it.
on the go,
Yeah.
dinner,
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah.
I love
The
games.
travel,
you can just
the
put in your
travel
backpack and
ability
not
of
take
this
up a
is
lot of
pretty
space.
nice. Yeah, the travel ability of this is pretty nice. Yeah.
I mean, I could put this one and Insider in one in each pocket,
No,
right? One in each pocket and go somewhere. And we've got a large party style game in Insider, and then a 3 to 5 player game of Scout, which, wrapping this up, also plays 2.
Yeah.
Which all the reviews have been pretty poor and negative on the 2-player game. And the reviews that I've watched about the 2-player game tend to have to do with not understanding.
How it works.
And I'll agree, the rules are just terribly written
Yeah.
for the 2-player. I had to go on the forums and just scrounged all through the forums and make some kind of decisions myself, because there was really no consensus exactly. I made some decisions with using my schema of board games. Like, this is how it should work.
Using your insurance contract background.
No, that was bad because the language of the rules was horrible.
Well, sometimes you got to interpret. You got to say, what was the intent? What was the thought here? How would they have made this fun? So
Based on how they wrote this rule,
yeah,
that would mean that they intended to write this rule in this manner.
this was the intent.
So, Rob, I taught it to
giving
you
me,
with
like-
the 2-player mode.
Yeah.
It took away the whole scouting for points, where a player, when they scout, you get a point when they scout your card. Instead, they took away the scout and show tokens. Instead, you get 3 of these dollar tokens. And these are the tokens that in the 2-player game that you will use, and you will spend them as a resource whenever you do scout the opponent. Because remember, if it gets back to the other player, what happens? The round immediately ends. In a 2-player game, if I don't play a better hand than you immediately, Wayne, what happens? Rob wins, right?
Yeah.
So I can only scout Rob. In this game, what this allows you to do is you get up to 3 scouts in a round.
And you can do them consecutively. So
When you scout, it doesn't end your turn. So if I scout your hand down 1, I spend the token, right? And then if I scout the next card down, I spend my second token. Let me do that.
find the spot over there.
I
Yeah.
spend my second token, right? And now I can, because I've whittled your hand down by 2, I can now play a better hand than you, and I still have 1 token left over for next round. So now I play a hand, and Rob's got 3 scout tokens, and he can use them as resources to scout down my power of my hand in order to then show a better hand than me, right?
Yeah.
But then now I'm down to 1 token to do that. So it allows for a quick back and forth.
So it seems like
And-
a 2-player game is super fast.
It is
Yes.
real fast. Real fast.
Yeah.
But you see all the cards. You deal half the deck. You deal 11 cards to each player. So that's half the deck, 22 cards, leaving 22 for the second round, because it's 2 players. You play a number of rounds equals to the number of players.
You don't
play
have to
2 rounds.
shuffle in between at least.
Right. You don't have to shuffle in between. So you're going to see all the cards. If you're a card counter, that's great, because you can remember, I already saw
4 9.
the 4-9, right? And the 5-9, right? I already saw those, so I know he's not going to be able to pull off that quadruple 9. Anyway, you see what I'm saying. Here's what I thought. So that's the gist. That's the main difference. And then these, whatever you have left over,
Points.
also go towards your points.
Yes, just like the multiplayer game, those still count as points. In the multiplayer game, you're trying to collect those and add those up. In the 2-player game, you're trying to avoid discarding them all so that they'll count as points at the end.
So in summary, it is not the best version of Scout.
Didn't love it.
I think the best version is 5 players.
Yeah, more players in this one, the better, I think.
Yes. However, it allowed for a pocket-sized card game to be played in a fast 2-player, quick, I think 10-minute game.
Yeah.
Between Rob and I, so I can see this also being used as a nice travel 2-player game.
And a 5-player card game. I mean, you just said that, but how often do we find decent 5-player card games? I mean, that's rare.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So there's our
Cool.
Give It the Beans on Scout.
That takes us to 9:30, which is the phone line time. So we'll go ahead and, I assume, open those lines up. We'll keep talking, but as is our deal here on Thursday night, you take over the show. So for now, for the next hour and a half, if you want to call in, talk to us about what you've been playing, what you've heard, board game news. We'll hit on a few of those topics as we go along tonight. But take over the show. Call in, tell us stuff. That's what this whole thing's about. We'll keep rambling until somebody calls, but line up to be that first caller. Oh, we know we got a few regulars who compete for that. So anyway,
Yeah, I
Quiet
was
in the
gonna
chat
say,
tonight,
like-
says Mr. Jeeves.
Yeah, it is quiet. Well,
Yeah.
we've got a decent amount of viewers too, so I mean, it's
Yeah.
good viewers, but everybody's listening.
They're
so
riveted
that's-
by our
Is it a
deep
football night
dive
again?
into.
It is. Oh, every Thursday night.
It's
from the-
football night for
noticed-
the rest of this season.
Yeah, for the next.
I love Venn diagrams.
How many
like,
weeks?
I love nothing more than a Venn diagram. Venn diagrams are amazing.
16 more weeks.
A Venn diagram of our fans
Yeah.
has a high correlation with sports. Like there's a high overlap with sports. I tend to see that with a lot of the.
We're competitive people. Gamers are competitive. We like sports. We like.
I mean, it's
I
NFL
don't think
football, so
gamers
it's, like,
and
kinda
sports
boring.
go together.
no,
as
just
much.
our crowd. You think?
Right.
No?
I don't know what it is about us, and maybe because you and I are, baseball, football. Well, you all sports.
Yeah, I like them all.
Me, motorsports. Wayne likes football.
Football.
I like all sports. I love hockey. I just find the NFL boring now. So
Yeah.
I know.
Are you a college
Fighting
guy? Do you
words.
like college
Just-
football?
I just football in general is boring.
Okay.
Like once,
All right.
like what's funny is I grew up playing American football. I played all the way through high school and college and things like that.
American football. Nobody says that except for
Yeah, I do.
a footy.
guy who likes
You're a guy who likes football.
a footy.
In the last 5 or 10 years, I've really fallen in love with European football, soccer, and watching the Premier League. And like once you get into that, especially because the games are on Saturday mornings, I can watch 2 games by 11 a.m. and then I have the rest of my day to do whatever I want.
Was Inter Miami? Was that game? Was that last night?
Yeah, Messi didn't play though. He's hurt.
Yeah. Oh, it says okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so they
That's what I
lost.
heard. He was questionable. Yeah.
Sports ball with beans and dice.
Sports
Call
ball.
There you
in.
go. Sportsy
Change
ball.
topic.
We're losing viewers. Actually, no, they just went up by 1. So
Hey, keep it going,
talking,
guys.
Keep talking.
We're changing to a sports calling show.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh,
What's
Chester.
Chester, what's
There
the
you go.
over-under on how long it takes Ron to call?
I don't know if you guys are waiting for Ron to call, you might as well call in because he
Just
may
be
be
in.
out. He may be doing his game night stuff now.
Well, I know
Maybe.
Wayne on the podcast the other. I told Carlos I listened to the first half of it a couple days ago,
Okay.
right when it came out. I listened to the last probably 10 minutes of it on the way over tonight. I know you called out Kyle because of the whole AI.
Oh yeah,
generative
Yeah,
art
Kyle's-
thing. So hopefully Kyle will call in tonight. You challenged him to call and tell us
I did.
how
I did.
where you were wrong in your and,
Or
Mitchell's
we, or if
conversation.
we, yeah, exactly. It was
Or if
good.
you were right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Kyle and
Yeah,
some of
right.
the other folks in our Discord server were the ones that spurred the conversation, which is interesting because it seems like every podcast has talked about AI art, but it's the hot topic, right? So it is
Yeah,
what it is.
for sure. Yep.
But it was
Beans and
interesting.
Dice podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
This is Ron from Atlanta.
There he is.
there
You
you
heard
go.
his name.
Chester wins.
Ears are
Should
burning.
Put money on it.
Exactly. There you go.
What's going on, Ron?
I just got home from my FLGS Meeple Madness, playing in a casual Disney Lorcana event.
Oh, nice. Like kind of a
So that was-
semi-tournament.
No, just a casual play event.
Okay.
They had a list of quests that you needed to accomplish, and if you accomplished 4 of them, you got a booster.
Nice.
And so that's how they're handling their pricing for it. They're not running any competitive on a regular basis. They're having a tournament next Saturday, but I didn't eventually go up to the store to go and play. Like I was to meet up with another friend to fool around and probably play something else, but there was a spot available. I'm like, sure, I'll just drop in and pay the $10 for the event. And so it was fun. It was a whole lot of fun.
Well, that's what you told us about it last week, just your experience up to that point. So obviously you played a little more. Your opinions changing at all, or have you not played enough yet?
No, my opinion hasn't changed. I enjoy the game.
Okay.
Like I gave it a positive review. It's just
Right.
that I'm not. I don't plan on doing like regular events or whatnot. This was just an opportunity, and so quite frankly, I played so I can get a booster, so I can sell the booster and get the cash and spend it on other stuff.
Well, there you go. That says something there.
Womp
So, yeah.
But speaking of that, what's interesting though is I learned a thing last night. Sorry for interrupting, but the Boardlandia Dig and Dent sale, the guy from Boardlandia made a comment that the reason why they got so much Lorcana as a store compared to other stores was apparently a lot of stores didn't read the fine print that if you signed up to be like an official organized play store and filled out all the paperwork to be organized play and everything like that, then you got closer to your initial request of your allocation of Lorcana cards. So like, the places who didn't go do all the paperwork and go through all the rigmarole of becoming an organized play event site, you got like, nothing compared to what you asked for. So that was like a trick, I guess, of stores that filled out for the whole organized play. And that's probably what, like, Ron, your store's clearly doing organized play. You've gotten the cards. I can't find cards anywhere in Tampa. So
yeah,
it's probably why. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure they did, because just this morning they had gotten another small restock.
wow.
And it sold out. But at this point, it didn't matter for me because I had got my hand on all the starters. And I think I told you guys that, like, I custom built a red gold deck on buying cards on Game Nerds for $30. I don't know how good the deck is, but at this point, like, I'm stripping that deck of all the gold and going to tune the purple and gold starter deck for any kind of casual play that I intend on having.
I do recall Ron in this conversation saying something along the lines of, "No, I'm not going to be a competitive gamer."
Now he's buying decks and stripping cards out and putting together other decks.
It's not a problem. No, I'm good. I'm good. Right there.
Well, we'll see how that all turns out.
We will.
We know how this goes. We've seen those Magic players.
But I did have fun playing still.
Good.
But other than that, like, I haven't played a lot of board games lately. Although, coming up soon here, second weekend in October, we have Atlanta Game Fest. So it's 4 straight days of gaming here close by. So I'm going to anticipate getting a lot of gaming in then. Looking forward to that. I missed my board game meetup group on Sunday because I was playing. Speaking of TCGs, playing another TCG on Sunday. It's called Super Show the Game. It's that wrestling-based TCG.
The one you picked up at Dice Tower.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that game, I'm playing competitively. So
nice.
They have organized events in Atlanta.
Yeah, they have a local group that meets every month, and like there's online play too. Like I joined an online league for that.
Did you go in there role playing the whole thing? Did you go in there and give me the half and half because the cream it rises to the top?
Oh, I'm terrible at the game. So, there's none of that talk, but like it's just a fun community to be around. Like the guys, they're super nice and generous, and they have the whole cosplay thing and kayfabe thing going on. Some of the folks, but like, because it's wrestling themed and people really get into it. But it's a fun community to be around. I've never played Magic before, but I get the feeling that the Magic community is just a little bit more competitive.
Yeah.
People aren't really there to give you, freely give you cards that'll be decent to play or what have you, right? Everybody's out for themselves and everything like that. So, yeah. But that's about it.
Nice.
So yeah, two TCG events in the same week.
All right.
What's going on?
Yeah.
You did say you did not get a lot of board games played.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my fear is like I really want to play Lorcana. I really want to get a couple of decks of it and to play with my kid. But like I honestly don't feel like I'm gonna be able to find decks here. And I'm not willing to drive around to like 10 different stores like every day, hoping that this place get a restock. Like I want to walk into a Target, I want to walk into a game store and be able to buy it like I can Pokemon or Magic cards. And it's just not gonna happen for months. And by the time January, February rolls around, that's why I fear
You're
that
still gonna buy it.
Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. Who knows? We'll see. Like, we'll see after all the reviews out. And, like, I wonder if it's going to kill itself because they can't keep up with the demand.
Did Wingspan kill itself, or did it become like
That's a
the
different
highest
story,
selling board
though.
game?
Nah, I don't know.
Not a parallel, no.
I mean,
I don't know if
Wingspan
I
had
mean-
major issues with
Oh, yeah.
availability, and it just
several
I think
times.
it just
But-
kept it in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think it depends though.
Okay.
Is the game good enough to keep people in the zeitgeist? You know, are the gamers now, the
Okay.
people who bought decks now, going to be buying decks in January, February, March?
Go ahead, Ron.
The new decks.
Yeah. This brings up a topic. We're talking about that. Talking about Wingspan, but this also applies to Heat Pedal to the Metal, right? Because that's a game that can be hard to get your hands on.
Yeah.
Um,
Somebody was
so,
trying to sell a
you know,
Heat
where's that game gonna be?
on like the TGG board game thing on Facebook or the BGG board game swap or sell site. Big one.
$120.
Somebody, yeah. Someone was like 100, and like every post was like people just like spit taking, laughing, or like, yeah, good luck with that. No one's gonna pay full, twice that for that anymore. That like, so like no one's gonna overpay for that game right now. People are still overpaying for Lorcana like crazy. Like, I mean,
Ron, have you been to
one-
the World Series? Are you following the World Series of board games? Chester Wilson asked
Not
in
at
the
all.
chat. Not at all. Wow, that's definitive.
Not at all.
Not at all. All right.
There you go. There's your
Okay
answer.
then.
Nope, hell no.
We had that on the list of things to talk about tonight, but yeah.
We'll just scratch that off the list.
Yep,
So nobody
hell
wants to talk
Hell
about.
no, gone.
It's funny. Like I'm just not interested in watching competitive Splendor.
Oh, I was all over that, bro. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, don't grab that card.
I'm interested. I
No.
haven't watched it yet. I gotta just find some time, but I'm interested. I really want to see. Yeah,
I'm a competitive gamer, and I love watching competitive gaming.
yeah.
And I think I posted a meme about this in the Discord. I love watching games played under commentary.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like that's how you hook me on
It-
YouTube.
it-
It's
it
add a
depends
couple
on
people
who-
talking about it.
It depends on who's been doing the commentary. Like, so the Dice Tower's been doing it, and they've had like rotating
I'm gonna leave
commentators.
that alone.
Yeah, so they had like the Our Families Plays Games did one, and they had
Think of a content creator. Think of a, Yep.
Raul and
Professor
what's-
Meg. You've got
But,
Man versus
like-
Meeple. You got
Yeah.
Tom and his crew.
But
You know,
the of all of them though, the absolute best pairing, who should just do every game from now on, was Z and Camilla.
Yeah.
They
but that
did-
was too quiet.
no,
Ron,
they were
Ron,
awesome.
Ron. It was like Ron. It was like watching
It was-
golf
It
tournament.
was it
'cause
was
they
golf.
whisper.
It was World Series of Poker, and it was perfect.
It was very because I think they were sitting nearby the table, so they didn't want to be loud. So they were like this the whole time. It was very
Fantastic.
quiet.
It was perfect. It was just
I
like
like
the World
that.
Series of Poker.
Well, Ron, thank you for keeping it themey on your call. We were talking card games. You kept it going, talking about TCGs. We will catch you on the next one. Thanks for calling.
All righty.
See you, homie.
Take care.
Thanks, Ron. Have a good night.
See now,
Oh, you
Rob,
plug-
you need to go back and watch a couple of clips to see
Well, I plan
which
to watch a bunch of
commentating-
them. Yeah.
See which crew you like. I think and I think Camilla and Z were the best because they played off each other, and it was just like watching the World Series of Poker.
But that's easier because they have a built-in relationship. They work together, right? If you watch a lot of it midstream, they would swap commentators. So one person would stay and a new person would get added in. So you got all these content creators from all over the country, all different styles. And like 1 minute it's Raul with someone, and next thing you know, Raul's stepping up, and then Ashton comes in, and now he's talking. So
And it probably depends on the game somewhat too. What game were they playing when you watched? Andy, remember?
Who was Z? They were doing Azul.
on. yes,
Azul.
Azul.
Z and
Okay.
Camilla did Azul.
And see, that's fairly quick moving. I did watch. I didn't watch. I watched like 2 minutes of Acquire, which was Camilla and what's her name, the
Paula
cute one with
Denning.
the dimples, Paula Deming,
Paula
and
Denning.
they were really good. There's a lot of thought in that game, and there was a lot of the players just sitting there thinking 3,
Yeah.
4, 5 minutes at a time, nothing happening. So they were trying to fill a lot of time, and I got bored watching them pretty quick, even though I only had a few minutes to watch during lunch anyway.
Yeah.
But I literally watched it for 2 or 3 minutes. I was like, I can't watch this. I got to flip it.
I think it probably does depend on the game. The faster
Yeah.
moving games, they can like comment, and like the Azul, you can kind of see where people are going, and you can count. You're like, oh, they're going to take those 4 red because they're probably going to take those 4 red for that and this and
Yeah.
It was good to watch. It was interesting. I didn't think I would get into it, but I remember now, like 10 years ago, I was watching World Series of Poker like all the time and like enthralled with it.
Oh, me
and
too.
so I can kind of see it now. I'm like, all right.
Now,
yeah,
World
I
Series
guess
of Poker,
maybe.
was that edited or straight live?
Straight live.
Straight
That's
live.
Straight. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good
but it
stuff.
is a faster pace.
Yeah, and you got personalities and stuff in that. I mean,
Yeah, you got the guys with the glasses and the hoods and the
and
hats and
Daniel
the
Negreanu in the mouth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all those. Yeah,
See, because like
The-
Bonacor is going to be posting stuff post World Series of Board Games.
edited.
Yeah.
Right. So like I watched last year's Terraforming Mars final. And so they cut out the drafting, they cut out those long moments, and
Yeah,
they just
and they'll probably
talk about,
repost a lot of stuff for this year. It was interesting.
Probably.
I mean, it was big this year. It was twice as many people, right?
Mhm.
I didn't. I know we talked about it in the podcast, and Mitchell and I talked about it a little bit. Is I wonder where this is going to be in 5 to 10 years. Is it going to be? Are there going to be regional tournaments? And then there already are some like smaller like regional. If you win
Feeders.
this, you get a feeder, you get a free entry, and
Yep.
and it's interesting. And I made the comment that Stephen Bonacor basically announced this year that he's now an investor in the World Series of board gaming. So this guy is a Wall
member of
Street
the board
guy
and an investor.
an investor. So he's a Wall Street guy. He owned his own company. He kind of is a fairly smart businessman investor. So if he's investing in it, then he sees it as something that's just going to grow.
I think they're at a crossroads now. I mean, the next 2 years, I think, probably will really tell a lot. So
Yep.
they're putting a lot of money into it now, as was discussed. The content creators, they're trying to get content creators to come and either be part of it or to talk about it on their shows, like we are right
Yep.
now.
How
And
can
so-
they afford it?
So this is the peak right now.
I
They're
don't-
spending a bunch of money on
Well,
it.
they're getting all the money from the entry fees, the hotel fees. They're probably getting a kickback from the hotel, and then sponsors.
But you're talking about $25,000 for the final table.
5,000.
You're talking about $10,000.
There was $5
$5,000 per
every-
table,
per every the feeder games as
Right.
they came out.
feeder games,
Yeah.
and then
Where's
some other
that
small
money
prize.
coming from?
Well, some of the packages were $1,000.
I'm sure.
But
Games
So, like,
what,
if
how
you-
many
if-
players?
so you pay to play.
So you
get
the
yeah,
pay
you-
to Yeah, like the highest one was like you can play in like 3 of the tournaments or 3 or 4 of the tournaments, and then as many of the outer tournaments you want, and it was like $800 to buy into that.
How
And
many
then
players do you
with
think showed up?
they had like 2,000 or 3,000 people there.
Yeah, it was a pretty good amount.
Okay.
Yeah, and
okay,
and,
the math's
and
starting
so,
to work out now.
Yeah, so like so how it worked though is like let's say I went and wanted to play in a couple of the main events, right? And I paid the $600-700 to play in the main events. Then like you guys could come tag onto my ticket and pay $200, and you can play in some of the outer tournaments or just go to play,
Like a con.
right? Like it's a
almost.
con. So there's a lot of that too, right? And then you have sponsors, and then I'm sure. So like just my own stuff with like conferences, like when I'd have a professional conference, if the hotel nights was $150 a night, we would set the rate at 160, right? And so everyone that's staying there is paying 160 a night for the hotel, and the hotel keeps their normal 150, and then the other 10 is a kickback to the master account, right? For the con. So you're making $10 per night per room night. So there's probably something like that too. So they're probably making money on it, or they're at least breaking
Then you
even.
got the jewelry. Was it rings or bracelets or whatever they had for each of the game
The rings,
winners?
the rings,
So-
yeah,
was it
rings this
So
year. I think
don't-
they did bracelets last year, rings this year.
I know nothing about the financing of it, but I mean, it would kind of make sense. I think they had like 16 different games, so maybe if your game was one of them, I don't know if there's any pay to have your game in there, but maybe.
And I'm sure we're not talking about like Super Bowl rings here. I'm sure it's not
Oh,
full
no,
on
yeah,
gold
yeah,
with
yeah, for
like
sure.
precious stones.
But maybe you had the game manufacturer, designer, or whatever pay
Sponsor the ring.
for that game for that one round. So yeah, so I'm sure all that gets spread out a little bit. Yeah.
I hope it continues. I love the format. I love competitive gaming.
Yeah.
I love
I just
tournament
wish
play.
it wasn't right now. It's like always the cons always at the worst times of year. Like I wouldn't mind going out to Vegas and doing that. That's kind of fun, right? Even if I
You
didn't
brought
do
it up on your
compete in the main event.
podcast, though.
Yeah.
Is this the champion, like best board
is this-
gamer?
is
Oh
this the
yeah,
one-
is it right?
the
the
best
best
in
who
the
can
world?
afford, that can afford to
Or just
go.
the best
Right.
of people who could
Because
be there.
even if you win like a free entry, right? So I'm in wherever in Europe, and I win a free entry. I got to fly to Vegas. That's not a cheap flight. The hotel, the expenses. So it isn't. You do have. I mean, and going to any con is a luxury, right? Because how many hundreds of thousands of gamers there are, and Gen Con gets 70,000 people, right? Dragon Con gets 70,000 people, and there's probably 20,000 overlap between those two, right? So any con or competition like that, it's always a bit of it, not elitist, but you have to have money, right? You
But
can't
this is
just
why
be-
I keep my cons local, because it really saves a lot of money. And segueing into local cons, Wayne, I know you spent some time at a local con here
Yeah.
in Tampa,
yeah,
which I cannot pronounce
you
accurately.
cannot pronounce Necronomicon.
Necronomicon.
Yeah.
Sound
It's been around
it
a
out.
long time. It's
Necronomicon.
been around 42 years. I said in the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's not always a gaming con. It's like a horror, sci-fi, authors, books, things like that. Timothy Zahn was there from the,
Oh, nice.
wrote the Thrawn trilogies and all the books, Star Wars books. So, a couple other folks like that. So it was good. Yeah, I basically just played old games all weekend. I think I was like 27 plays of games. So it was good. It was enjoyable.
Here at the University of South Florida on the University of South Florida
Yeah,
campus.
that's what I think it's great because for the whole weekend pass for the con was like $50. It's basically all day Friday, all day Saturday, or most of the day Friday from like 11 a.m. on, and then it's all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So it's like $50. It's fairly small. I think it was like 600 people. So
Nice.
just not a bad amount. And the hotel's not super pricey. So I got a room for the weekend. It cost me like $500 for the whole weekend. So it's good. And USF area's got great food. So.
Is it open 24/7 like the gaming areas?
Pretty much, yeah. The gaming area is not going to shut down. Even if it did, I think it may shut down at like 2 a.m, 1 a.m. It's an Embassy Suites, so there's the giant open area where the breakfast is, which is another great thing. You get breakfast and happy hour, right?
Nice.
So you just go out and game there, yeah, or you just go up on the suite and game. So it's kind of cool. But it's fun. It's enjoyable. I think for if I would encourage more folks from the Tampa Bay area to come out and game. It's not like the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's an excuse to, if you dedicate a weekend, I'm going to take off work on Friday or leave work early on Friday, and I'm going to spend cost me $300 for the weekend or $400 for the weekend, or get share a suite, and you're going to get in 30-40 plays of games. So it's a way to dedicate, because I think it's hard sometimes if you're at home on a weekend, it's hard to dedicate time to game because you get distracted with a million other things with the family. So you have to sometimes just. Yeah, it's local. I drove there. I stayed the weekend, and it worked. So
Cool. Speaking of local cons, 2 weeks I'll be in Louisiana, not so local, but looking forward to the Southern Game Fest. I know we keep calling it Southern Board Game Fest, but I know Mitchell, I've listened to him say it a couple times on the podcast. Southern Gamers Fest or Southern Gaming Fest is officially what it is, but SOBO. Anyway. Yeah, SOBO, you can look it up online. They still have, I believe, tickets available. I know last year they did a cutoff at some point, and you couldn't really get them after a certain point, but great time. I'm looking forward to it. 4 of us from the Beans and Dice group are flying up there. We'll be flying up early Thursday morning. Going to spend actually Thursday. We're going to fly into New Orleans. We're spending Thursday in New Orleans. Going to get a rental car, drive over to Lafayette. We got a place in Lafayette just by the campus there that we're going to be staying in, probably within walking distance of the con. Going to be doing the con Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then flying back or driving back to New Orleans Monday morning, and then going to spend Monday and Tuesday in New Orleans before we fly back to Tampa. So. Nice. Really looking forward to that. Going to get lots of games in. I know I've already chatted with several of the locals out there who are Beans and Dice listeners. We've already agreed to set up a few games, and I'm going to get taught a lot of stuff while I'm out there, I'm hoping. So I'm going to come back with a report on all the goodness that is the Southern Board Game Festival. So
nice. I think if this works out, it could be an every year thing of a contingent from Tampa flying out there. And
I hope so.
I could easily see it. That'd be good. Yeah.
My family
I could probably
had a great
swing it in
time
the
last
future.
time.
Yeah.
The issue was last time it was during spring break. It was in March because it was our first time back from COVID. So it worked out perfect. We were able to make a family vacation out of it. We got to explore New Orleans.
Yep.
We spent more time in Louisiana than just the con. This year it happened to fall on the same weekend that I had already committed with to take my son to Atlanta for a race, an auto race. So that weekend I'll be in Hotlanta, over in Ron Fraser's neck of the woods, watching cars go around in circles while playing.
Getting lots of right turns, left turns.
Probably going to be some heat. I'm probably taking heat with me because I think last time we played downforce inside of the Daytona Motor Speedway, International Motor Speedway. We played downforce in that speedway. Okay. So I think this time I'll bring heat, and we'll play heat on the hill of Road Atlanta that the road kind of use around. And at the top of the hill is a beautiful tree. And right up there is a Sonny's barbecue shack.
Okay.
With nice barbecue pulled pork nachos. So I'm going to be eating and playing games while watching cars go round and round.
Eating barbecue nachos, playing a board game. Whoa, bad idea. But go ahead.
I love it.
Yep.
A good weekend, but just it's a tough weekend for me
Yep.
to go to Louisiana. I committed.
So
to the
speaking of
race.
food, the whole festival thing, I got to hit on that as well. The great thing about this is right across the street from where the convention is on the Lafayette campus there is they coordinate this to be with a music festival that's going on there every year, and they've got local vendors who have all the local Louisiana food out there, gumbo, jambalaya, all that good stuff. Local beers, breweries are out there. Yeah, so like
booting balls. Oh man.
oh yeah. So I go half for the food and I go half for the gaming. So it's
I got
great.
introduced to Abita.
Abita, yeah.
This is a great beer.
Local beer out there. Yep. Good stuff.
Chester Wilson says, I was in New Orleans once. I waved at a dude dressed as a devil.
Nice.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, we had lots of stories from Bourbon Street when we were out there last year. So
What we didn't plan on was the fact that it was St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, that weekend or that week. Yep.
So we actually stayed in the French Quarter, right in the French Quarter. So it was crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah. Anyway,
so that was Necronomicon.
Necronomicon. Spit it out.
And Sobo. Rob, you had talked about watching some reviews of the new Ticket to Ride Legacy game.
Yeah, I've only seen the Dice Tower one. I've heard from other people that especially Wayne's mentioned he's seen several reviews, and everybody's given it pretty rave reviews across the board. This is one that I was excited about all along when we talked about this when they first broke the news, probably 6-7 months ago. I think of the group of us here, I was the most in on it. I was the most excited about it. The rest of y'all were kind of, we'll wait and see. It doesn't sound that exciting. It's ramping up for me. So, I forgot about it for 3 or 4 or 5 months now. But now as these, I guess the embargo or whatever's probably been lifted on the reviews, so all the information's starting to kind of pour out. And I've only seen, like I say, only full review I've seen is the Dice Tower. They did the 4 of them there on the show, reviewed it. What was it, 9, 9.5, 9.5, 10, I think, on a 10-point scale. And even though they didn't spoil anything, they didn't give much information about the game and what to expect over. It's a legacy game, 12 plays. You start out with just the East Coast of not even all of the East Coast, the Florida area.
Right?
It's on the Northeast, and you play just a quick, simple game. They mentioned the games get longer and more complex as you go. But I mentioned a little side story. My wife doesn't game. I've talked about that a lot here. She's very competitive. She does not like to lose, and so we decided about 10 years ago I would stop asking her to play games because it was ruining our marriage. But anyway, so she doesn't play games. One of the few games that she played before she stopped gaming was Ticket to Ride. She liked Ticket to Ride, and I had the review on the big TV when I was watching it a couple nights ago, and she was reading her book, and she usually blocks everything out when she reads her book, but she must have heard Ticket to Ride somewhere as I was watching it, and so she looked up, and I noticed her look up, and I was like, oh, she looked up. That's interesting. That caught her attention. I figured she went back to her book. I stopped paying attention because she doesn't game, so I figured she was just sitting over there back in her book. 15 minutes later, I look back over, and she's still watching this review. So 15 minutes after that, because it was a long review, I think it was about a 40-minute review they did, she mentioned first thing when it turned it off, she's like, you know what? That is a game I think I might play. And I was like, oh yeah. So I told her, I was like, price tag $120. It's steep. Ooh. And she's like, you know what? That's okay. We'll save up a little bit. It's good. So I was like, all right. So I'm getting even more excited. The fact that she would play. I think both of my older kids would play. I don't know, my 11-year-old.
He could now.
He could probably. I think we could probably sneak him in. So it might be a whole family experience there. But I'm starting to get excited. Yeah. Any thoughts from you guys? I know, Wayne, you said you're not completely sold yet.
It's not that I'm completely sold. I would love to do it. I just don't think I'm going to get to the table. So, I've still got not half, like about a third of Jaws of the Lion to do. Mm-hmm. Haven't even done Pandemic Season 2 or 0. And so getting those done, I think I would want to play all of those before I went out and bought Ticket to Ride. So, and I think that $120 price tag is what's like, you know what? I could buy it now and let it sit on my shelf for a year or two, or I can play the 2 or 3 campaign games or legacy games I have now, and by the time I need it, it'll be $80 or $75 or get it on sale. Because that's actually what I did with Pandemic Legacy 2 and 0. Is I just kind of waited for them to go on sale. So I'm definitely going to get it. But
I just don't know. Early adopter.
Probably not going to be an early adopter.
Days of Wonder, right?
I believe it's still Days of Wonder. Yeah.
They don't reduce as much as
There'll be sales. There'll be
Yeah,
like
you'll feel it.
Black Friday or Amazon sales or somebody
longer
will
it
have it on
goes.
sale. Yeah, the longer
Yeah.
it goes. But it definitely looks cool. I like having watched the reviews. I like the idea that instead of scoring by tracks and tickets, you're kind of scoring a dollar amount or coins that you write on a sheet and kind of stick into a tuck box that you don't really
forget about it for a little while.
kind of forget about it, and then at the end you open it up and add up all your points from the 14 games to see who's like the overall winner. So I kind of like that idea. I like the idea of building the board. I'm assuming that there's going to be several twists. What those will be. It'd be kind of interesting to see how they work that in to we kind of know how the railroads were built, right? So you can't do much there, but we'll see.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Well,
to see
Tom had
what they
said
do.
that there was. He said actually his favorite was the first one. That opened in that first box. He's like, I did not expect that. That was right off the bat. There's a shocker. There's a twist, and it completely changes the way the game goes. So
It's built by zombies.
wasn't there expansion to Ticket to Ride? The alien and like the giant lizard was Alvin and
Dexter.
Yeah,
that's it. Yep.
I'd like to see something like that. Like, get me access to stuff that I can't find anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are hard to get. Those are
Right.
expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I echo Wayne. The thing that stands out for me is the change in the scoring, going away from scoring based on how long of a route you scored and tickets to shedding trains. You're literally, I think you each start off in the first, no spoilers, right? It's just
Right,
the basics.
right.
I think you start off with 16 to 20 trains in the first
And
scenario.
as you shed as you go out west, you get more and more trains. Yeah.
You're just shedding those trains to get points in that first game. I'm sure it may change in the future, but right now it looks like it is about just
And I think
getting
there was
trains on the
something
board.
about like if you play routes, the color routes that match your train,
Right.
There's options for like bonus points.
Well, it's
and-
asymmetrical, yeah. So
Yeah.
you'll have a card. So if I'm the red player, I'll have a red ability. The red player's ability was something about if you play the red trains on the red tracks, you get a bonus dollar.
I think
every
all
time or something.
tracks, all players,
Colors.
all colors. That's
Yeah.
a basic
Something like that,
mechanism
yeah.
so far.
Okay.
If you're blue, you want to play on blue because you get bonuses for blue.
Mm-hmm.
So it,
And there
it
could be-
does
there's
drive you
probably
away
gonna
from
be
each
other-
other.
I mean,
I
like
think
I
it makes
said,
it more friendly.
yeah, I think of this group. Rob seems to be the one that's going to be the early adopter there, and rightly so. I mean, that'd be awesome if you have a family big enough to play it.
And I stay away from Legacy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Whereas
Tom
I'm-
Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, finish. No, I was gonna say, whereas I'm gonna probably wait unless I can get one of my other the folks I normally play Ticket to Ride with. They have the 10th anniversary edition that we love to play. So that might be something I could sell them on. Like, hey, we got to get together once a month and play at least one Ticket to Ride game and go from there. So.
And they say this all the time, but Tom and Z did say they were trying to struggle for another good example, but they said that this is a game that when you are finished with it, even though you'll have a different map than anybody else built, it won't be exactly the same. But they said this is a game they would want to come back and keep playing. And they were struggling to come up with another one. I think Z eventually said Charterstone from Stonemaier Games. And they were like, well, yeah, Charterstone's probably a pretty good example. But even in Charterstone, you can go an extreme way in building it, which would make the game probably not as enjoyable, but it might make the legacy game better, but it may not make the end result, the replayable game better. But they said in this one, it really is a replayable version of Ticket to Ride. So even when you're done, it's still going to be a game that you would want to pull out and play again. So that's pretty rare.
That'd be good. Yeah, because most of the legacy games, you're not replaying it.
Right.
But then
They
again,
just-
most games, I mean, how many games
You're
you
not
play? Like
replaying
Ticket,
them.
yeah, Ticket to Ride is, the Legacy Season 1. I think you can max of 24 plays. I think we got 15 or 16 plays. So, I mean, that's more than you get with most games. So I'm not going to complain there.
And the three designers they have on this, of course, just all-stars.
Yeah, Davio, Leacock, and
Moon.
Eleanor Moon.
Alan R. Moon.
Can't
Yep.
complain there.
Good pedigree.
Yeah.
Anyway, you mentioned Jaws of the Lion. Let me jump in with that. So, Emmy and I, my daughter and I, have played another couple scenarios in that. So we've gotten past the 5 starters, and we're into the regular scenarios now, and enjoying that. I mean, again, I knew I would because I went all the way through Gloomhaven. I'm in the middle of Frosthaven now. getting to play with her, a family member, and being able to have that experience. It's fun. We actually we played the first half of one of the scenarios during my lunch break today. We got about 45 minutes, got it about halfway done. And then as soon as I got off work, we wanted to finish it up because we needed to take it off the table for something going on this weekend. Actually, her birthday, I say something going on this weekend. Her birthday's tomorrow. Happy birthday, Emmy, if you happen to be watching. But
Nice.
so she's got some friends coming over tomorrow night, spending the night and stuff.
Play
So
board
we
games?
wanted to clean it up. They probably will. Every time our friends come over, they look at my board game wall. They're like, "Oh, let's play one of those." And so they always do that.
Green team wins. That's a great
I
one.
don't own it, but maybe I'll borrow it.
Yeah, that's a
Steal
good idea.
Carlos's. Yeah.
Mm. Cool.
Right now, I only have one copy, so that'll get you to 6. But I think you can just make stuff up,
Oh,
Yeah, you can just
Yeah.
make up
pieces of
cards.
paper, and
Yeah. Well, she's only got about 6 people coming, so
that's perfect.
Yeah, her
Green
and the
team
girl-
wins is great.
her and the girls could play.
That is a great game. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I think we're maybe 16 or 17 missions in. I think there's like
Oh,
20
into Jaws of the
something.
Lion?
Gloomhaven.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
okay.
Jaws of the Lion is like 20 something, maybe 23.
Yeah, I think there's a total of 30, but you don't play them all
30.
depending
You
on
don't
some
play them all. Yeah,
decisions
you
you
don't-
make.
yeah. Cool.
So that's
How's
good.
your
That's good.
Frosthaven going?
We played last week. Was last week? It wasn't this last Wednesday. It was the week before. So yeah, it was a little over a week ago, week and a half ago almost. No, just over a week ago. Anyway, we finally got a session in after not playing for 3 or 4 weeks, and so that was great. I think I mentioned, I must have mentioned in our last week's show that we were
Maybe.
trying to fit in another session, but it's just like every night this week, one of us was bad, and so we had talked a little bit about maybe trying to squeeze one in this weekend. Actually, I need to hit that back up because we haven't mentioned that in a few days, but yeah, we're all kind of itching to get back to that. So yeah, always fun. It's
How far in, like percentage-wise, are you?
Oh, percentage-wise, probably 10%. I mean, because there's
jeez.
100 and let's see, Gloomhaven was 120. You don't play them all, but there was 120 in that. I think this one's like 160 or something possible, and we've played 10 maybe. So
Wow,
yeah,
crazy.
You know, when it comes to Gloomhaven, I like to think of like Matthew Broderick in War Games and take that strategy. The best winning move is
Not
not,
to play the
playing the
game.
game.
not to play, not to start.
the only way to win the game is to not play.
Yeah,
Love that
No,
movie.
so wrong.
Damn.
So can't be more wrong.
Classic Dabney Coleman movie.
Speaking of Matthew Broderick, he was in the recent episode of Only Murders in the Building, which I've seen a lot of chatter.
I'm only on season 2.
I have
A
not
lot
seen
of
anybody in
chatter.
our Discord yet not like it. Everybody
Right,
who started
everyone
watching
in
it
Discord is
is
loving
like
it.
binging it now.
So good.
And
I literally
started it-
binged. Yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
You started it?
Oh, just say when I started back when they were about halfway through season 1. We discovered it,
Okay.
and so we watched season 1 as it went. We watched season 2 as it went. We're a little bit behind on season 3. We're only 3 or 4 episodes into season 3, and they're almost done with season 3. So we got about I think we're about 4 or 5 behind. But yeah, we really enjoy that series.
After last week's podcast, and then Mitchell and I were just kind of going like, "What are you watching?" And we were talking about various things, and I had gotten caught up on most of my stuff, so I needed something to start watching on Monday. So Monday morning, I threw it on my third monitor while I was working, and by the end of the day, I'd finished the whole first season. Basically, I binged it like in one day, just binged the entire first season, and like there was it's not spoiler, but there's a like third or fourth episode, and they go into Martin Short's character's house apartment, and it's not even locked, and Selena Gomez is like, "You don't lock the door." And he's like, "Yeah, I never lock the door. It's all about neighborly love." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's true. I guess only white guys have to worry. Old white guys only worry about."
Yeah,
Oh,
there's lots of zingers, one-liners in there.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you mentioned that a
I
few
love
times, yeah.
the generational jabs.
Oh, yeah.
The Gen Z, millennial, boomer, Xer. Like I love those kind of jabs at the various generations that they have.
Yeah, because
throughout the
you got Selena Gomez, the young Latina, millennial. I don't even
Yeah.
think is she.
She's millennial. Yeah,
probably
she's in her
Borderline,
30s.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
That's
she's in
like
her
younger
30s.
than that, maybe, but young, very young.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got these older white guys, and I mean the comedy between those three is great. And when Selena goes to her mom's house and she's questioning this relationship with those guys, it's a good series. Been enjoying watching folks in the Discord talk about the enjoyment that they're getting out of it. For me, game wise lately, I think Terraforming Mars is currently listed, ever since I started recording plays on the BG app, currently listed as my number 4 most played game, behind some very light games and Blood Bowl. I really wanted to get it played again, and I busted it out. I was actually playing on the app by myself,
you jumped right in.
and Rob and I played, I think, was it Sunday?
I was going to look now and see when the play was, but yep.
Sunday.
That sounds
Sunday night,
right.
Rob and I
Yeah.
played, and I said, Rob, let's try to figure out this Louisiana thing because they keep talking about how fast they play this game.
Yeah.
Let's just go.
You're going to open that can, huh? You're going to poke that. Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's do it.
Let's just
poke
go
the bear. Poke the bear.
standard game, right?
No.
So you get basic standard game, none of the corporate era cards, none of those cards. And then let's even make it easier. Let's just start with beginner corps. So there's no first round of drafting. We just kind of grab our 10 cards and go. And let's see how fast we can do this. And I think we got it played in 2 hours.
Right on 2 hours, yeah.
It's like, man, that was so much fun.
Yeah. Well, we thought that was doing good. 2 hours. Hey, great. We finished this game in 2 hours.
Mitchell's
2-player, 2 hours. Hour.
2 player,
apiece.
2 hours. Yeah.
Mitchell
Too much
says they
table
play
talk.
no drafting,
No?
45 minutes.
45 minutes.
I can't.
And I made the comment on the Discord. I'm going to throw it out there. So I made the comment, there's no way you can have fun playing this game, even with 2 players, doing it in 45 minutes.
So no,
And so
here's
he-
the thing. Only in his defense is if you're playing it 2 and 3 times a week for like a 5 or 6 month span,
I don't care.
you're gonna get pretty quick.
You can get quick.
Maybe not 45 minutes quick, but not 2
45
hours. Like,
minutes.
if you guys, if the two of you were playing 2-player, and you were playing 2 and 3 times a week, after 3 or 4 weeks, you're gonna get down to an hour and 15.
Yeah, hour and 15, hour and a half, maybe. Yeah.
Speed run.
Yeah.
You're gonna cut time out because you
So
know the
it's-
cards, you know the plays. Just
But his
so
big
used to
comeback
playing.
was, yeah, so we know the cards. We knew the cards because as soon as we looked at the art, we knew what card it was. So I can appreciate that. You played it a bunch. I can imagine that cuts some time off. But then his other big comeback was that they push the end game, that all they do is play cards that increase the oxygen.
Yeah,
you
Tend to be
can't just do
comments,
the-
events.
That's
Tableau
not
build
fun.
on Mars.
That's
You
what,
got
that's
to
what I like to
that's
do.
not fun.
That's my
see, I
favorite
don't
part of
know.
the game.
Well, there's
I love
there's
throwing
different ways to
comments
pushing
play
the
on you.
tracks. Oh well, no, trashing each other is fun.
Yeah.
But just pushing the tracks to see how quick you can end the game. And he talked about if I push the tracks and you're building stuff on Mars, I will always win. Okay, well, you always win, but that's still not fun. Enjoy the
I don't know,
game,
winning's
enjoy the
fun.
journey, enjoy getting there. Don't
Winning is
don't
fun.
just stomping everybody because you're pushing all the things and making the game end faster. That doesn't make the game more fun.
I'm curious to see what
But
the
it
high
it doesn't
scores
make it
are when
less
they're pushing
fun.
it that fast.
Oh,
It doesn't make it less fun.
Oh,
Well,
come on.
for you maybe,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
But
for me
others,
for
no.
sure. I like seeing the combos. I like.
See,
trying to-
I would.
yeah.
I'm somewhere in between. Like I'm not going to sit there for 3 hours and Tableau build on Mars, but I'm also not going to
Oh,
like.
if you
push-
let Rob and I to our own devices, I think
You'll-
we've had
yeah.
2-player games go 4 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
put
yeah,
2-player,
yeah.
we've gone
with
4
drafting
hours.
and with the whole 9.
Yeah,
and some of the
I'm eventually
expansions,
going to start pushing and building and like, all right, let's move these tracks along. Like I think there's a balance between you guys wanting to like leisurely build up the mega tableaus and the New Orleans folks trying to push it.
But we
Is it-
watched. I watched it tonight with the finals for Splendor on the World Series of board games. The winner pushed the end game, right? Tried to push the end game, thinking, okay, everybody spent all their gems. I'm gonna hit 15 and just 15 and trigger the end, kind of pushing the end game.
Somebody beat him.
Somebody beat him. There's something to be said about that. Somebody beat him.
Nice.
And then, so that got me itching to play.
Yep.
So I had it on the table, and I was like, Melissa, it's
that
a
keep
tougher one. What do you think? Want to give it a try? And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll try anything. I'm like, okay. So we did Beginner Corpse. We did no drafting, but we did include Prelude. I don't think we even did Prelude.
Did
we?
We did.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think we got it done in 2.5 hours.
I think Carlos, you must be hitting something that
What's
keeps
going on with
putting
the
that
scroll?
comment.
Yeah, oh, Carlos has got it. There it is. He's hitting the space bar with his notebook. Yep. That was it. So I was wondering why it kept going up and down.
I
and
keep
up and
turning it
down,
off
up
and
and
it
down.
keeps going on. I'm like, what's going on?
Dear diary.
Now what I do want, I want to go watch the World Series of Board Game Terraforming Mars to see what they do. Are they pushing the end game or
I
are they
watched
tableau
it.
building? Are they pushing the end game?
Yes. Beans and Ice Podcast. State your name. Where you calling from?
Chris Graffiti, Oregon.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Friend of the show and designer, Chris
Hey.
Graffiti.
Hey, haven't
Perfect
heard from you in
game.
a few weeks.
What's that?
Oh, so I mentioned we haven't heard from you in a few weeks. How are things going?
Well, things are good. I've been kind of buried with a lot of work and stuff.
Sure.
We also had a little bit of a getaway for the last vestige of the summer. We went up to Washington and had a nice time. So
Nice. Yeah, we got friends in
that's
Washington.
that.
Yeah.
I missed a couple of your shows, actually. I haven't seen all of them since I last called in.
Well, you can go back and watch
It's
them.
like a backlog. Yeah, I know.
We
I'm
do
glad
have
you
the
guys recorded.
podcast, and I post the audio version. So if you're short on time, you can always just listen to
okay,
the
that's
audio
good.
version of it.
Yeah, that's good. So tonight you guys were talking about, well, I don't know if is this live? I'm hearing you guys talk about terraforming Mars.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
live.
always got a little bit of a delay.
That's what's going on. Okay.
Yep.
So I have a comment and I have a question. So comment, we played Terraforming Mars the other day. It was like over 2 hours long. We played with drafting, no prelude. And my mind was just wandering during the game, and I got my butt whooped so hard. That is a game that you need to pay attention or you're not actually going to do well. It doesn't just kind of play along on its own. And I was not doing a good job because it was so long and I just was getting distracted. It doesn't help that we were playing it on Steam rather than in person.
Oh,
So
I find it hard to follow on
easy.
Steam.
Me too.
I like the game, but yeah, I find it really hard to keep track of what other people are doing.
yeah, I can't really see their stuff without clicking around all over the place.
Yep.
And that's kind of like a recurring issue too. I saw the demo/prototype for Tapestry, the new app, and it looked really cool, but I was just thinking to myself, boy, that's a lot of clicking around to see the current game state compared to playing in person. So I can see why a lot of publishers are okay with these games going up in digital format because it kind of whets your appetite and then you want to buy the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
I've
could
bought
see
a
that.
ton of games that I played on BGA in the last year and a half.
Yeah, I think you're not alone. Which ones did you buy?
Oh, I know. I picked Stone Age, Marco Polo, Baron
Chocolate Factory.
Parks, Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
Yeah, a few others. Yeah,
Which Parks game? Which one of
Parks,
the Parks games
just
is it?
Parks. The Henry Audubon Parks.
Oh, the nice one. Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
There's a not nice
So I have
one?
a question
Tell me
for
about
you
that
guys.
one.
There's the pared down
no,
one.
I'm not going to badmouth. No, I'm not gonna
Almost got him.
Yeah.
Almost got him.
That's the one with the super classic, beautiful art. And
There you
that's
go.
kind of
Yeah.
the segue to my question. Did you guys know or hear that the Terraforming Mars expansion is going to use AI art? And what's your hot take on that? Like, what are players going to care? I know they grazed a lot of money on their Kickstarter, but it was also because they have such a huge following. It's not clear anybody else could replicate it. So, kind of, what's your pulse on the culture here?
I wanted to bring up this conversation tonight. We had a caller that got in right as we started it. I was going to circle back to it because Wayne and Mitchell had just dropped a podcast. Yesterday
Yep.
where they talked about the AI art topic.
Spent a good 30 minutes on it. Yeah.
Which was hilarious because that same day, Board Games Insider, Stephen Bonacor, Ignacy Trevicek, and
And a few others like Board Games All Star and a few other of the Board
all
Game
dropped
podcasts.
podcast about AI as a topic too. So like it seems to be the topic du jour right now. And
Yeah.
for me, what Stephen Bonacor said, I got nothing insightful out of the Beans and Dice podcast. That was terrible.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Those guys did great. Wayne and Mitchell did great. But when I listened to BGI, to Stephen Bonacor talk about it, he talked about it in a way. He said he was talking to someone who, an artist, and he's talking about how when someone is learning how to become an artist, what do? Right? They find an artist that they like, they study, and then they copy. They try to mimic and copy and do the art in the way that Rembrandt did it, that Picasso did it, right? That whomever, Andy Warhol, whomever you're trying to be like,
Emulate
it. And that AI is effectively doing that, right? In the same way, but it's not the final product. It still requires a true artist to finish that, to convert that into usable art.
What his defense was that he talked to someone inside of Stronghold Games, and what they're doing is using AI art to generate sort of pre-images or almost their images, and then their artists are going and touching up and adding and finishing off because AI art still isn't there. It's still not very good compared to human art.
Yeah, I think.
But I would have.
That was
my
understanding too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Carlos, your point that but the issue there is like even the best comic artists, right? They start off copying another artist, but eventually they develop their own style, right? And they're still producing their own works that are being that they're then selling, or making money off of. My problem with AI art is the AI art is being trained off of other people's work that are not getting recompense for that. right? So like
Mhm.
if I try to
wouldn't if you
emulate,
studied their art either.
right, yeah, but
Right,
but
exactly.
but we're talking about
agree.
scale. We're talking about scale. I'm a human and I can
Mm.
create one painting a day that's copying, or I'm trying to emulate your art. That's one painting. I'm an AI that can spit out hundreds of thousands of images in an hour. So it's scalability that's the issue.
Mhm.
And
Well,
so
that's certainly an
we've
economic threat. I don't know if that adds
Yeah.
a moral dimension to it, but it's definitely an economic
Yeah.
threat.
and when we've seen that, because like in my podcast, I mentioned that there are a large number of huge booksellers, authors, like that are now suing ChatGPT and other AI art, saying you used our intellectual property, our written words to train your AI without permission.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
it's
that'll
going
be
to
an
be
interesting
interesting
court
to see how
case.
the court cases turn out. I can
Yeah.
see why artists are outraged, kind of from a moral standpoint, because they're using their stuff without permission. But the AIs that were trained, I mean, the AI is a different category of a thing than the art that it was trained on. So that's a transformative use, probably. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of how the court decides it. But it is a serious economic threat to artists who aren't capable of using AI. Because someday the people who can use AI are just going to swallow them whole.
Right, because you've got. I came from a DJing background. That's why I love audio so much. But there are organizations that protect music artists and who can play what music where, right? And then you pay for licenses to be able to use that. And you bring up the point, Chris. The big guys are going to be able to pay the licensing fees to use the chat bots or GTPs or whatever they're called to do the art for to help them with the art. Whereas the up and coming, the entry level folks aren't going to have the ability to pay those licensing fees to be able to use the AI to help start or create the art that they're looking for.
Like with any technology, I mean, when Adobe Illustrator came out and Photoshop came out, people were up in arms in that too. Even like when word processors first came out, people were up in arms over that. So it's just how you use the technology and how it develops. And I think we've seen, the Writers Guild has made an agreement with Hollywood, and AI is out. You can't use AI generated scripts and writings because so it's.
Oh, is that in the latest draft agreement with the Hollywood people?
Pretty much out. Yeah, Mr. G's Kyle posted some of the text of the agreement between the Writers Guild and Hollywood. So I think it's not going to go away, and AI art is going to get better. But I think that Mitchell and I came to the conclusion that we have no problem with necessarily AI art being used, as long as some underlying artist is still employed or making money. I think that's the big thing, is how you figure out how you get recompense for your work. Or if the AI is copying my art, then I should get a little something out of that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that translates. I wonder, so Adobe is training Firefly on a pool of images that Adobe has access to.
Right.
Do you know how much compensation the artists actually get from that?
That I don't, but I have read that's an issue too, is people are really up in arms on that, because they're like, well, that's my issue, that's my photo, that's my art that you're now feeding into your AI. And I think it'll all depend upon the court case with the authors. And there's a lot of big name. I know I read the article like a week or two ago now, but it's a big list of some pretty well-known authors that are signed on to the lawsuit. I think George R. R. Martin's one of them, Game of Thrones guy, and a few others. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
This is going to be really interesting, and it's not clear to me that the same result is going to happen in every country. It may be that AI art is legal in some jurisdictions, but not in others.
And I mentioned that too. I think the European Union will be a lot more strict on use of AI art.
Right. When's my iPhone coming with the USB-C? Right, where's my USB-C iPhone?
Yeah.
Not in the US. We're probably going to be Lightning.
If I'm correct, Chris, you used to be a professor, or you teach in a college too, right?
Yeah, I was a professor of computer science before I left the university.
Yeah. So in part of the podcast, I work in higher ed, and so we've already come across ChatGPT written papers that the plagiarism software that we use to check for plagiarism, it flags it because they don't change it enough. Because really, it's picking sentences out of novels and written work and kind of reorganizing it. So the plagiarism software can still find that sentence. So you really have to change it a lot. But I've also said that there are several professors that are using it. They're telling students, this is a tool. instead of having to do research in a library, you can ask ChatGPT the questions like, give me bullet points, and then put those bullet points in your paper and then write your own words based on those bullet points. So like, I think, it'll be interesting to see, at least in higher ed, we've talked about how you can use ChatGPT as a tool to help students write better versus students just using it to cheat and have it write for them. So we've already seen some college professors using it to help students learn to write better, as opposed to just asking it to write it for you. So I think it's a good tool. It's a useful tool. I've used it in my work.
I'm hearing that software development companies are starting to expect experience with AI generated code as one of the required skills for the people that they hire as programmers. Because, there's some very, very basic code that just takes time to type, and it's a largely unintellectual. It's just you type it and you're not really thinking because it's such basic code. And so the AI can spit that stuff out like nobody's business. And the software development companies want their new hires to know how to use AI to write that kind of code and then clean it up and make it a finished product. And so now the university is going to have to start teaching students how to effectively use AI to write software.
Yep.
And
that's where I've actually used it in my work. I've had ChatGPT write me COBOL SQL code.
Right, Wayne, you mentioned it in the podcast that Microsoft is coming out with. I can't remember the name of the
Microsoft Copilot.
Right. That's
Copilot,
that's probably why I'm a manager at the company I'm at, is because I knew Excel and I could pivot a table like a champ.
Done.
And
Copilot.
I'm out of a job because Copilot. Hey, Copilot, give me a pivot table that compares these two causes of loss
and
to
then
this
give
region.
me 3 key values out of it. Yeah, like if you watch the video on Copilot, you can literally just
that
give
scares
it
me. That
rough Excel and say, give me a
all
pivot
that work
chart.
I put into learning Excel.
Give me a pivot chart, give me 3 key elements, and then turn it into a PowerPoint. And it, like within 30 seconds, it's done. So yeah, it's huge.
So one thing in common with all the 3 domains that we just talked about, art and writing papers and making code, and also making PowerPoints and stuff, is that it's a tool to be used by a human being who he doesn't expect the tool to spit out a perfectly finished, complete final form. He's going to go in, or she's going to go in there and start screwing around with it, maybe combine some bits from different AI output and then write code to connect it together or fill in the bullet points. But it's sort of intended as a tool for doing aspects of the project or parts of the project that the human is going to finish off. And probably to me, that's the biggest problem I have with AI right now in art, is a lot of the tools just spit out a full image. What I would find more useful would be like, I sketch out a composition. I sketch out very rough forms for the different characters. And I tell the AI, okay, now go and apply a steampunk rendering to this thing. Or I tell it, okay, here, go fill in the background. And to their credit, Adobe actually is being sensible and looking at these different specific use cases within the bigger picture of art. And they already are starting to do generative fill and background removal and stuff like that. And so those are the kind of tools that I think are going to really hit it big, tools that can be integrated with an artist's workflow rather than just completely replacing the artist.
Yeah. And I think the other point that Bonacore made, like, let's say, and they basically said terraforming Mars Legacy is a thing. It's coming. It's going to be coming out probably in the next year or so. But they needed, he said, for example, you need 250, 300 different pieces of art for it. But he's like, what you could use AI for is you hire an artist to get you the first 30 or 40 art renderings, paintings, whatever. And then you feed it into an AI and say, okay, now take these 30 or 40 and replicate me another 200 similar that we can then use.
I want an astronaut on a dome. I need an astronaut on a rock. I need an astronaut throwing a rock at another astronaut.
So you still paid an artist for that first. You still paid an artist. You still paid an artist to develop those first 30 or 40 cards, and then you had the AI.
Yeah, you're going to have an artist clean up the other 200 too.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
They got to understand. What do you say? Light perspective. All these different skills that an artist learns to say that isn't right. Like the sun is here, but the shadows are this way. You're going to need a human being to kind of clean that stuff.
Touch that up. Yeah. So it'll always be.
Yeah, the AIs get the lighting pretty well, and the perspective is mostly there. In real
What's up
life,
with the
artists
hands,
don't
though?
actually.
Like the hands, that's
Yeah,
always
see,
the
that's
giveaway,
not a
is the
lighting
hands.
issue.
Yeah.
The hands is not a lighting issue. It's simply there's not supposed to be 6 fingers with one of them sticking out perpendicular to the face of the hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a lighting issue. That's a basic anatomy issue.
But we've even seen that just with video game development too, right? Like video games never quite
Yeah.
get hands, teeth, and hair, right? There's certain organic
Hands are
things
tough.
about the human form that, or even just animals in general, that like computer graphics and computer generated images can do well at, but they just are not as good as someone hand drawing, you know?
It's funny because I keep a copy of Chris's game on our game table.
Oh yeah, right here.
Nomadic Gardeners. I'm looking at his cards, looking at the hands.
Looking at the hands.
He
Did
said
you do the
hands
hands
are
right?
tough.
Did you do the hands good?
I'm gonna go
Can you
check
see
out
the
all his
hands?
hands.
I don't know that I advertised my hand drawing skill in that game.
We're gonna test it. We're gonna look right now. He's going through the deck. Yeah, here we go.
Because you know what, you could use AI to do your art,
Exactly.
or you can do what Chris has done, which is spend years studying how to make your own art.
I'll pass. I'm still with stick figures.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any hands here that are making me feel embarrassed right now.
Okay, good.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm not saying anything too horrendous.
No, not too horrible.
No 6 fingers. No.
No
Do you have
perpendicular
Herb
sticking out.
Destroyer? Look at Herb Destroyer. His right hand, the forefinger, the pointy finger,
Yep.
looks like it got broken. That one looks broken.
Yeah, it kind of disappeared somewhere into the shovel.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that hand.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know. They're better than a lot of the AI hands I've seen. But,
No, I agree.
I'm still learning.
Right, and that's the
This
tough
is
part.
one of
Like,
the
do I,
reasons
as
why
a
I
designer,
enjoyed-
do I want to spend the years that you've been doing teaching yourself how to draw when I can just use ChatGPT to
Push a button.
throw it together for me?
I think it'll certainly help with game
Well,
development too, right?
someday
If
I
you want to
will
have,
use AI. It's not good enough yet.
yeah, if you want to, you're prototyping and you just need images, you can have it generate images for you really quickly. It's similar stock images, or like clip art or whatever. But
Well, I do for the games that we're going to pitch to publishers, but mostly I just want to publish myself. I don't really want to deal with publishers for the most part because, like, as a general rule, most of the time, most publishers ignore most of what most designers send to them. So you don't even hear back from them in most cases. So it's better for me just to invest my skills in learning to be a publisher. It's just more efficient. So for me, it's not even just about getting the art done as quickly as possible. I actually enjoy digital painting and color. What I don't really enjoy is just black and white line drawings. That actually feels like work to me. But when I get to doing the painting with color, and I'm doing forms rather than lines, I actually really enjoy that, and the time passes really fast. So that kind of tells me something about kind of where I should be focusing art in future games, so that if I am going to do it myself, it doesn't feel tedious.
What kind of interface are you using to do your digital art? As an example, I bought the laser cutter, so I've had to learn how to do some vectoring to be able to create designs and such. And I ended up picking up a one by Wacom. It's a Wacom pen and like a tablet, and I tried to figure out how to hand draw. And again, these are lines, right? Like you said, boring. But that's really what lasers do, is just vectors and lines. They don't do color gradation or form. I am struggle bussing. I don't know if it's these fat paws that I have for hands. I cannot figure out how to use this thing and be smooth and create good images. What are you using for your interfaces?
So for drawing good, clean vector art, you can sketch it with a pen on a tablet like you're doing, but then what you're going to want to do is import it into a piece of software that'll let you clean up the lines and edit them. And I'll sometimes freehand icons. You don't do that. You do not use bitmaps for icons. But I freehand them because then I can sketch around and make them look good. So then I import that to as a PNG file to my computer, and then I upload it to PNG to SVG, which converts it to a vector drawing.
Right.
And then I can tell it to simplify, and then I import that into a vector drawing tool. And I either edit those points if it's clean enough, which it usually isn't, or I'll manually draw with a mouse on top of my rough image. And just manually clean up the icons so that it's a really simple shape. And then the nice thing about doing it in a vector editing suite, like I use Affinity, but there's a lot of other good ones out there. And a lot of people use Inkscape.
That's the one I'm learning on, Inkscape.
Yeah, well, I think the Affinity suite is worth the money because inside of there, it's got a tool where you can give it a curve and tell it, okay, streamline my curve. I forget, maybe it's called simplify, but it'll actually go and mathematically compute a smoother curve that summarizes the same shape so you don't get all the jaggies. And sometimes the handles on some of your Bezier curves get a little wonky, and then it'll clean that up for you too.
Okay, that's where I'm struggling with Inkscape. There's a lot of handles and trying to get those right to get those curves to be smooth.
Yeah, I don't like Inkscape because it doesn't do as much good stuff, and it's written in Java, so it's really memory intensive, and so I find it's kind of limited for doing anything bigger than an icon. Also,
Chris, which is the one you're using?
Affinity, AFFINITY.
Thank you, sir. This is why I do the show, so I can.
I don't get any royalties from
tips.
selling that either.
Yeah,
so.
you get a kickback on that? Yeah.
No. So then for regular painting, and actually, just like if I'm drawing, I'm not doing an icon or anything, but I'm just drawing. I'll use a free program called Krita, Krita, and it knows, I got it configured, it knows how to talk to my Huion tablet, which is basically a generic Wacom. And I've never been dissatisfied with my Huion. I think it's a 15-inch Huion. And the important thing when you're doing painting with a tablet is that it's pressure sensitive, because then it allows you to do gradations of color. That doesn't matter to everybody, because like if you're a cell artist or something like that, you're not going to care so much. But if you're trying to do the shading yourself, and having a pressure sensitive tablet like you do and I do really makes a world of difference.
Very cool. I love these topics, learning, because this is a big part of design, is the art piece. Got a little insight on how digital art is created. We heard about Affinity if you're looking to make logos, right? So icons and logos for your games. Affinity would be an SVG software that you could use. And then Krita was the other one you brought up that you use for doing more painting, for more form.
Yeah, I actually use Affinity's publisher for all of my graphic design. It's it can do almost everything that I care about that Adobe's InDesign tool can do. But instead of paying $60 a month or whatever it is, you end up paying $50 one time or whatever the price is now. So it's like a one-time fee. It is an absolutely steal of a deal. And Krita is free. And here, I'll tell you something. Photoshop can only edit bitmaps. Krita can edit bitmaps and vector.
Okay.
So if I want to throw some vector shapes on top of a bitmap image, I just do it in Krita, and Krita is totally free.
Free's good.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Free
All
is
right.
good.
So maybe that's more information than your listeners wanted to hear.
Hey, it's what I
want
want
to
to
call
call
it.
it.
Get your pulse on. I don't know. There's some people who are very, very loud and sincere in their opinion about AI being the end of the world. But when I look at the success of Terraforming Mars expansion, I'm like, well, maybe not all the players share that perspective. So I just wanted to get your perspective on it.
I personally don't care.
I don't care.
I mean, I know it sounds callous to say that, because
Yeah.
Wayne does care. It's not that I don't care. It's, I don't know enough to even worry about it as much. Like it just doesn't.
Do you guys
It doesn't
have
touch
IKEA
me.
tables?
Yeah.
Do you guys use IKEA furniture?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you
You
look
you don't have handcrafted furniture.
Yeah. No. See, but I have 3 boys coming up on 4 boys in about a month. It'll be 4.
And a girl.
And a girl. Nothing lasts in this house. Like it is baseballs and rollerblades and BB guns.
So inexpensive, simple.
I gotta be able to just replace it quick, because
Yep.
heirloom furniture is not gonna be heirloom long in this house. It'll be rustic.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have a problem with AI art. It's a tool that's going to be used. It's just how it's used. That's that like where on that spectrum it gets used eventually that I don't have an issue with. It's just where I'd like to see it used and how I like to see it enhance artists and art as opposed to just replacing it.
One of the teachers at the community college around here, he teaches game design. He made a comment once that the average game is only played 10 times, if that, by the average person who owns it. And you just think about all the games that are waiting to get played on your wall of shame. So it's like maybe game art isn't actually a fine art. You know, maybe it is more of a, I wouldn't say disposable kind of art, but not the kind of art where you want to have heirlooms.
Yeah, right. Consumer art.
And some people care much more about it than others. I mean, some people are more mechanics-based. For me, I could mostly care less about the art of the game. I mean, whatever. It's serviceable. We talk about the Terraforming Mars, the whole thing about all the clip art and stuff they used. From day one, I was like, you know what? I don't care. I don't really care about the art. I want the mechanisms of the game. How do the cards work? How do they combo with each other? Yeah.
And when we really think about it, though, like look at all the ugly, white guys on the boxes, right, Carlos? It wasn't only probably the last 5, maybe a little bit longer than 5 years where art has really mattered, right? 5, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you didn't have a lot of crazy, awesome art on the games. They're all boring, drab art, and clip art, and so really, it's kind of like art has become a thing in games as we've gotten into deluxification of games. But historically, it hasn't mattered. I mean, Monopoly was never a pretty game, and
I will acknowledge
Castles of Burgundy, and
a lot of these feelings really do probably come from where you're standing, because I just had a memory, because I mentioned I grew up DJing. That was my thing, and I learned on turntables, on wax LPs. Like that was my thing, right? Yeah. And I learned how to mix. It was an art. And I remember the first time I showed up somewhere and the DJ was using digital, and he's like, "Oh, check it out, Carlos!" And he's scratching on digital, and then he pushes his button, and the beats match on the 2 songs. I'm like, bro, you didn't work. You didn't do nothing. This ain't right. This is not okay. This is garbage. Like, you're not even a real DJ. You're just a jukebox with a shirt. That's all you are. I remember how angry I was, and I'm like, I'm gonna lose my job.
Got personal.
So it is where you're standing. If you're making that art today, if you're Chris and learning art, I could see how. Now I see it. Now I'm starting to see how. Is this empathy? Is that what this is?
But you adapted, you learned things, and Wayne.
Your heart grew 3 times the size.
Yeah, there you go.
Care about the who's in Whoville.
See, Wayne and Mitch talked about this though. The buggy whip guys. I mean, they had to pivot. They had to learn a new talent. They had to learn a new job.
It wasn't long after that I had the full digital setup, and I was doing the same thing.
There you go.
I remember I read it, but some economist was basically saying,
Put my wife through college. I learned how to DJ music videos, so I just took it to the next level. I was DJing music videos and put my wife through college.
I forget where. I know some economist that had written it, where he's basically saying that no job is really ever eliminated. Like that job may be eliminated, but for every job eliminated, another one gets created. Like we're gonna. It's the evolution.
They like to say that because they have tenure.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Oh, but I mean, like you said though, is like there's. What you're seeing now is the guys who used to sit there programming SQL now have to learn how to make it pretty, right? Take the code from the AI. So it's just your job just transitioned and moves to different things. Like you'll be able to those guys that made buggy whips went to work for the auto industry, and then when that got automated, they went somewhere else. It'll move on. So
Chris, let the folks at home know where they can find out more about what you've got going on with Fervent Games.
ferventworkshop.com.
There you go.
I guess I should put it in the Discord. Fervent Workshop. Yeah, I got a Kickstarter coming out in a couple of weeks. I probably should contact you at some point about getting on your show to talk about it.
Oh, you pick a Thursday, let me know, and we'll be here.
Yeah, so I will put the link, and I'd be happy to answer any questions in the Discord if anyone has some. But I'm going to stop hogging the line now, and I enjoy chatting with you guys as always, so I'm going to return to listening on the radio.
And don't forget, pick up the podcast on any of your favorite streaming services. It'll catch you up on all the recent episodes. You can listen while you draw, and then you're also going to get every week a drop from Mitchell and Wayne with their own hot topics, such as AI art, how winning games impacts your feeling on the games. Lots of cool topics that Mitchell and Wayne throw in there in between the reruns of the show.
Oh, that's great. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Nice hearing from you as always.
Call in.
Thanks for Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care.
Oh, always nice to hear from Scafidi. Always. Good stuff.
Yeah. Good guy. I wanted to come back to Terraforming Mars because I wanted to highlight a piece there. So I asked Melissa if she wanted to play, and she said yes. And I said, all right, we'll just do a couple demo rounds, right? Because it's already like I think it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. We just put the kid down to bed. It was getting closer to 10. And we start with the first round. And they're like, all right, we'll go a second round. And I'm like, okay, this is good. Like I was getting ready to go back to, murders in the building, only murders. And she's like, no, we got to do another round. I said, no, we're good. You got it. We'll play it again some other day.
You're building a tableau. You're doing stuff. You got to keep going. You can't quit.
Damn it, if it wasn't like 12:30.
3 hours later. 3 hours later.
Because, we had the teach and all that. And then we started the game. So then that led to the next day. She wakes up and she's like, that was a really good game.
Yeah. Oh, it is?
Did you want to play tonight? And I'm like, we still got only murders that we got to get back to.
Nope.
Like,
it's only Terraforming Mars now.
And that's what it was the next night. And that's when Prelude got introduced and we got that first game without the teach, without me kind of helping, done in about 2.5 hours or so. So it quickly rose to the top of her list of favorite games.
It's awesome.
She hasn't committed to say which one she likes more, whether Burgundy or Terraforming Mars. But she also doesn't have a top 20 board.
Yeah, big board back
She doesn't
there.
have a top 20 board, so she doesn't have to commit.
It's an easy answer.
I'm going to struggle when we do our update.
What's that in 2 weeks? 1 week? 2 weeks? Yeah.
We kind of missed.
We've missed last month. Yeah,
Yeah,
I gotta
good week.
get Terraforming Mars played again. I haven't played it in.
Well,
It's definitely going up
Two
there.
ready
years.
to go here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know. I'm over.
Oh, yeah. I'll play anytime. Let's do it.
We got to speed run it.
We got to do a 4-hour, 4-player game.
4-hour, 4-player drafting.
Yeah, drafting.
Error cards.
Whole thing.
Error.
Wayne will not lose his mind.
No, I'm fine as long as the game's moving along. And we could BS and put on The Martian or something. While we
Yeah, works for me.
That's literally
I
what
don't,
I
I
did.
don't
I
mind
had the
playing.
Martian up.
Yeah,
Let's plan
there
it.
you go. See, I know you, Carlos.
Let's do it.
Outside of that, we're getting towards the end of the show. I don't think we really missed any topics. Bortlandia, that was one of the
Oh, yeah,
topics
yeah.
we had for tonight. We wanted to bring
Oh,
up.
that's a cool one. Yeah, it's fun. I think actually it was, Mike brought that up, and
Yeah.
he did it first. So the Bortlandia, what they do is, I guess, as they get damaged board games, they collect a bunch, and then like every other month or so, or every couple of months, they'll have a live YouTube
Ding and dent.
ding and dent sale. And it's not really a sale. It's you enter in like lot, what the lot number is, and they'll pick someone at random from the viewers. Man, they had like 400 or 500 people on this thing, like trying to bid for games, and they had 30, 35 lots or something, 25 lots or something like that. And they had some good games. They had Cosmoctopus, and they had Cosmic Encounter, and After Us, and a bunch of
I
other
think
games.
you reviewed Cosmoctopus in the podcast. So folks,
I did,
if
yep,
you want to hear
yep.
his thoughts, Wayne's thoughts on
Good. Cosmoctopus.
That one. English not so
that
good.
one. English not so good. But
that's
no, it's
nice.
fun. I mean, and what happens? It's pretty cool because if you do get to buy it, and some of them they had like Tainted Grail, which is like $140 game for like $40 because it had like a poke in the box, right? Okay, whatever. And if you win that, you can pay for the shipping and have it shipped to you, or you can combine it with other stuff. And I guess most of the games that they do in the Ding and Dent sale, they'll also have regular versions that aren't Ding and Dent 10% off. So you can you can hold your order till you get to free shipping. So it's kind of fun. I haven't won anything yet. Jodak won last time. He won a game or two. And Mike won a couple of games once. He won all expansions.
Expansions
He
that he didn't have the base games for.
bid, some people bid on everything, right? I only bid on the games I want, right? I don't bid on like expansions if I don't. So he had to go out and buy the base games for a couple of games.
For Mike, it was just the thrill of hearing his name called
Yeah,
and winning
yeah.
something. So, yeah.
And it's good. We kind of haven't done it as much, but the last couple, there's like 3 or 4 of us in the Discord server, like cracking jokes and talking about the lots that are going up and things like that. And one of the owners, the woman, she kept messing up like 2 times ago. She kept messing up pronouncing some Star Wars, like she couldn't pronounce Coruscant right or something.
Yeah,
and I was
that,
like,
yeah.
Croissant.
croissant or
Oh.
something. Like, what is she talking about? Is
What's the format of this auction thing? Like, where do you see it? How do you see it? How do you participate?
So if you subscribe to their YouTube page, it'll pop up when it comes up, and then you can subscribe to them. If you're subscribed, you get 1 entry, and then they have an Excel spreadsheet, Google sheet that you can check on to see what games are up for auction.
What nights are this?
It's random.
Random.
It's like it's usually middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's usually like 7:30 to like 9:30, and depending on how many lots they have and how many games they have. Like
I'm thinking we should we should like co-op the next one.
Flood
Like,
the place.
Just
Yeah.
flood
when the
it.
next one comes up, let's
Yeah.
set up a stream.
Okay.
do it on
And
stream.
we can pull up the YouTube and
Yeah.
share the
And-
audio, and then
and-
like we can like sci-fi theater, 3000 it
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
That's it. Yeah.
It was good. It was funny that they had one game last night. They had was it Mystery Rummy, maybe one of the Mike Fitzgerald games, and they had like 15 copies of it. And so like Mike and I both put our names in for it. Then we immediately went to BGG and we're like, oh, 5.1. I regret. I really
my
don't want to.
decisions.
Yeah, I don't want to win this. I don't want to win this. And then I made a joke. I'm like, it's like poor people in the supermarket when you take the soup cans and bang them on the floor. It's like this game's not selling. Oh, it's dent and ding. We got to get rid of it now. It's like 15 copies of the same game. But it's good.
Yeah,
They'll
we
have
gotta do that as a stream.
miniatures.
It'll be
They've had
fun, yeah.
miniatures. They've had big games, small games. They had like a lot of the Star Wars
We could even
miniatures.
make it like a drinking game. We could be like, anytime a BGA 5.0 or less gets sold,
Gets
you
sold,
got to take a shot.
yeah. But it's fun, and I'm in some respects glad I haven't won anything, but also there were some really good deals where I'm like, man, I really like. They had Ultimate Railroads last night. It was like the first lot. That's like $120 game, and I think it was $45, and it was
And
like,
then-
and there was a dent in the corner, right? Oh, well,
Okay.
yeah,
You bought
so
it, right?
No, I didn't win the lot.
You gotta
It's like
win.
500 people enter and one wins, so it's kind of like a random drawing. So you're not guaranteed to get anything.
Oh, so you're
ever.
not bidding.
No, not actually.
It's not bidding.
He
No,
mentioned
it's
bidding a couple times, but you don't actually bid on anything.
bid. You just put your name in the hat, and they'll draw
it's like a
someone at
lottery.
random lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
You
That's what I
anytime
meant.
they announce a game that you're interested in,
No, I mentioned bidding, not you.
yeah, you put your name in there.
Oh,
Well, he
yeah.
said it a few times, but either way,
maybe.
both
Yeah.
Okay, so you throw
Yeah,
your
so
name
it's-
in the hat for a
Right.
set price on an item.
Right.
Right.
And if
And then
you're
they
the
draw one
lucky winner,
person.
then you get to buy it. Yeah.
Yep.
So, which is why I've not
That
won
sounds
anything.
exciting.
Yeah, it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's a way to kill time. Like I was
All
doing
right,
that last
so
night. while I was-
Wayne, next time you see one get announced,
He posts them in the Discord.
shout out in
yeah.
in the.
I'll-
in the
I'll
chat.
shout it
Every
out
time
and
in
remember.
Discord, they
Yeah.
announced them. You and Mike have been putting them up a couple days ahead of time
Yeah.
usually. Yeah.
Jim,
But
I know
I think it'll
Diego's
be
in
fun
there.
just
I'm
to
in
do
there. Yeah.
a live stream of the live stream. just gotta
kinda
just
talk about it.
co-op the show and
Yeah.
just
They're
sit
real
back and
nice.
watch.
I mean, they seem like a good company, and like everyone was raving about their customer service. So I definitely wouldn't mind buying a game from them.
What was the name
if
of the
I ever
company?
won Boardlandia, yeah,
Boardlandia. I've ordered from them. I have
Yeah.
ordered from Boardlandia.
yeah. Like if I've ever won anything, I would just add on to it to get the free shipping. And buy a game or two that's on sale or something like that, or expansion or something. So
Nice.
yeah,
All right,
cool.
that'll be something we'll do hopefully sooner than later, because I think New Baby Cabrera sometime in mid-November to December, it's ETA-ish.
Okay, so we still got a month. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Month
about.
plus. Yeah, month and a half.
But it won't
We gotta
change too
get-
much. It'll just be the week or so while we deal with having the baby and then bring the baby home. I think last time we had Lexi, and I think the first night we were home with Lexi, we were doing a show. So it's
Yeah.
like,
A few weeks after
because
the
I'm already home, right?
baby will be
Yeah.
on camera. They'll have their own mic. Yeah.
I'm building my own D&D group.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of D&D, Arby just started another campaign 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
nice.
So
I
yeah,
like
he's in one. So he's like me. He's like, I'm not super enjoying it because I can't see anything and it's all in my head and I don't do that well, but I'm doing it. So it's like, all right. But
We
can't
got to
pry away
get you
from it.
into a game, man. We got to get a game. You got to
Yeah.
play a game.
Yeah, we got to try something with all of us. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I could do a run shot one weekend,
Yeah,
like
I'd
a
be
little
willing to do it.
4-hour.
I've been
Do
playing
Star-
the
do a Star Wars or
D&D
something.
board game,
Yeah.
the Wrath of the Shardalon board game with my son. So that we had our fun run in May and June of doing D&D at Armada games. But I do like the dungeon crawlers.
Yeah.
just hack
Well, that's what
slash
you would
hack
like at Necronomicon. There was a guy. I know I mentioned on the podcast, but I love it. He would come into the game room every day. He would bring in not Battlelore, was Dungeon. Damn it, my brain.
Oh, Hero
I don't know
Quest.
what Hero Quest. He would bring in Hero Quest. He had like a giant
saw the
cart with
pictures you
everything in
posted.
it. Yeah, and he would take 2 tables, set up a giant Hero Quest, and he put up a sign like Hero Quest for charity. And if you sat down and played, and he would GM it, and for every monster you killed or for every 100 gold you collected, he would donate $1 to the charity of the convention. And so the guy literally it was like his game. He loves Hero Quest, I guess. He just sat there, and anyone who would sit down and play, even if it's like 5 minutes, I'll teach you how to play, and I'll donate
Nice.
money to charity. So
That's
pretty
one way
cool.
to get your favorite games played.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because I like so the Necronomicon's always charities like canines for kids or like they do like the dogs that training dogs for like service dogs and stuff. And so I don't know how much he ended up donating, but he had decent number of people playing during the week and during the weekend. People sit down and play 5-10 minutes or half hour here and there, and then hey, I got to go to a panel or I'm going to this game. He's like, that's fine. You got 900 gold. That's $9 for charity. And it's
Nice.
kind of cool. Yeah, I was like to shout that out because I thought that was a neat idea that I want to play Hero Quest. I'm just gonna set it up, and if anyone plays with me, I'll donate money to charity. So that's kind of cool.
I might set up a game of Memoir 44 and just try to get people to sit down and play with me.
There you go.
Yeah, a big Overlord game. People get in on that.
I love Overlord.
Yeah, Overlord's good.
That was fun. I wouldn't mind doing that again. So.
I'm exploring a lot of Dogfight right now.
Yeah.
My son and I are playing through the advanced planes and the advanced missions. So that's where I think the game will shine. It's going to be in the advanced rules, not just the base rules. The base rules is very simple. I think, Rob, I taught you this week.
Yeah. You taught me the base rules. It was pretty basic. I know I mentioned to you that some of the people who had played the other two games, Caesar and Blitzkrieg, found this one to be too light because they were expecting something more along that line. I certainly was as well, even though I knew this was lighter. I didn't know it was that much lighter, but it's pretty light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carlos likes his left
There's only
turns.
like 8 spots you could go to around the board, 10 spots. So yeah, left turns the whole time. Yep.
But you do get the feeling of a World War I dogfight. I don't know if any of y'all have ever played. I think it's was it Ares Games that did Wings of War. I don't know if you recall that one. It was big at Armada Games for a while. But the majority of the dogfighting is going in circles. Like it's trying to out tighten the circle than the other person. And this game kind of feels that way. And then when you play the wrong chit of speed and they play just the right one and then they get behind you, you start like, how do I get him off my tail? Like I can't shake this guy. So yes, it's very abstract on the dogfight board, but the feelings are there. Like, oh, I got him in my sights. Oh, I'm going to get him. No, he's behind me now. And I don't have the set of tokens I need to be able to shake this guy.
Yeah, it was rough.
And you just kind of start taking the damage. You're like, ow, ow. My plane's gone. And then you re-rack. Do it again.
Yeah. If it's light, that's fine as long as it doesn't take too long,
It does.
It's quick.
It's the fastest of all of them. All the other ones lie. They say 20 minutes. That's a lie. Blitzkrieg, probably 40
Let's
minutes.
play Blitzkrieg
45
again.
minutes.
I want to play that one again. I'm going to try it. Yeah.
Caesar, probably 30, 35 minutes. Dogfight, 10 to 15 tops.
Yeah. It's light. Quick and light.
And then we've been playing a lot of Green Team Wins at home. The family is loving it. And this is so corny. Okay, so I don't know if you were a kid and your parents bought you those stupid board games that like about, families having conversations and like ways to like, oh, there's a little deck of cards. We can spark conversation, right?
Tell me about your past.
Right. I hated those. I hated them. They were so annoying. Like they were so unnatural in trying to drive conversation with people. But I tell you what, Green Team Win does that because you'll have a card and you'll play it, and it could be something like water slides or diving boards, and everybody does their thing, and then you find out how many different answers there are, and then that really sparks conversations. Like, why would you pick diving boards over water slides? Oh, do you remember that trip when we went to and right? So it's like
You're getting a lot out of this.
yes,
Yeah.
like it really is.
I haven't found that level of depth yet in this game, but yeah.
With teenagers, it's so hard to get them to say anything.
No.
Yeah. How was your day?
Anything.
Good. Do you have any homework? No. They're like, yeah.
And
Not even
here
teenagers.
you're
My
like,
9-year-old sounds like that.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old, he's now that.
Mm.
So like this really got them talking amongst themselves, and me just sitting back there like a dad, like, wow, this Green Team Wins is really good. This is really good. So Green Team Wins has been on our table, and those are the topics that I had for today. Did you guys have anything you didn't get to?
One thing I was going to touch on wrapping up is that we are working on another guest, a new guest to the show. Hopefully in the next week or two we'll have them on. They've got a Kickstarter coming up, a new game system that they're designing that we've Carlos and I have done a little research.
And I will
and
not
checked
try to
out.
pronounce it.
Yeah, so we'll let them come on and tell us all about it. But we're excited to have a new guest on maybe next Thursday. So keep an eye out for that.
Oh, and I think I'll quick plug the Wesley Chapel board game group.
Okay, cool.
has a game day this Saturday, and it's gotten moved. I think they're going to be at Armada Games this
Armada,
Saturday.
yep.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
that's my jam. That's my
Yeah,
spot.
I guess For Honor and Glory up in Zephyr Hills had like a Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic tournament or
It
something.
was a
So
Magic
it's-
tournament,
Magic, yeah.
Mhm.
One of those. So yeah, they'll be at the Armada Games. So if you're not a member of the Wesley Chapel group, if you're a member of the Beans and Ice group or whatever, feel free to go to Armada Games this Saturday. There'll be a few folks there.
Should be up there pretty much all day Saturday. Yep. I don't think I can make it, but
I did get, thanks to our friend Jamie Stegmeyer,
such a new one.
Stonemeyer Games, I got a new review copy
Ooh.
of
Arts and
Arts and
Architecture.
Architecture for Tapestry. And I also got an extra set of dice,
Wow.
which I already have an extra
Ooh.
set.
So an extra set.
An extra set.
Who are those going to? Who needs some?
I was
some
thinking about
dice?
giving these away.
You give them a little giveaway on the
You
show.
know, a little giveaway on the show when we do the review. We'll
Okay.
have a call in, and whoever calls in after that, we'll mail them
Somebody
some
needs
swag
tapestry
and
dice.
some tapestry dice. But this is gonna have to get to the table,
Yeah.
so that we can talk about it. I know
Yeah, let me
Mitchell
know.
loved it,
Mm.
and my wife enjoyed her play of Tapestry and has been asking me to play again. But after all the berating I've received for not scoring higher than 60
Ooh.
points,
Still bad. This one's got more ways to score points. I played
I know,
this
there you
one.
go.
okay,
Yeah.
parallel. God, I know the show should be over, but parallel. We talked about Tapestry. We talked about how I was doing it wrong, right? Like the game is all about filling the board, right? Like
Yeah.
the city board,
Well, not
or getting the
necessarily,
little
Yeah.
a lot of it. Yeah.
getting like those extra resources to do more. I kind of took that advice when it came to terraforming Mars. Like I played that wrong. I played the cards. That's all I focused on was cards, and I did very little area control, and I never really saw high scores much at all. Man, I'm playing with Melissa and with Rob. I focused a lot on getting greeneries out, getting cities surrounded by greeneries, getting area control, and I really saw my scores shoot up.
According to Mitchell, that's a way to go straight in the toilet. He'll beat you every time if you do that. That's what he said.
Wow.
Here with Tapestry, I'm looking forward to playing it again. Now that
Yeah.
I've kind of confirmed that feeling, okay, I want to play it this way, but if you want to win and do well and play longer Tapestry instead of getting in your third era
Being done
and
first.
being done,
Watching everybody else play for 30 minutes.
right? Instead of doing that, I'm
Uh,
gonna try the fill the city board strategy and see if I
Yeah.
get more enjoyment out of the game.
So didn't we play with this expansion when we played at Armada, Rob?
I know I've played with it. Yes, it was Armada. Yes.
Yeah,
that's
Did
correct.
y'all play with
yeah,
it?
it was good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
never
Zeno.
played with it.
Brian Zeno's copy. Yep.
yeah, yep.
Yep. That's the one time I played it. That's right. You
it's good.
reminded me. But yeah, it's good. It's got another whole board, another way to score points. I found it again. My first play, it distracted me because I had the main board. I had the main stuff down. Now I've got another board to worry about. So I didn't score as well because I
And
found
I think I
myself
mostly
dabbling.
ignored
Wait,
the new
another
board,
board?
and
Yeah, now I was dabbling in that sideboard now, and so now it's another whole board. You got to think about: do I go over there? Do I ignore that little sideboard? Do I do the thing? Yeah, up here on the top, I think.
Oh yeah, the extra track, the arts
another
track.
whole track, arts track. So yeah,
Yeah, these buildings look so cool though.
Yeah, they're
they
nice.
did. It's cool. Yeah, I'm down.
All right, so that's what's in the news. We're gonna have to get this one reviewed because that's part of the commitment.
Yep.
With Stonemeyer Games is within the first few weeks that you get it played and talk about it. So
Do it right after
that's on the agenda.
right after Terraforming Mars Tapestry. Yep. Priorities.
I want to play some Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, me too.
On that note, we are the Beans and Ice podcast every Thursday night. We do our live call-in show. Wednesdays, Mitchell and Wayne have been dropping a podcast, so find us on your podcast streaming or downloading service of your choice.
Occasionally, y'all do an RPG thing. Occasionally, there's a
There's always different topics
that other
going
game
on.
you play.
Blood Bowl.
The Blood Bowl. There you
yeah,
go.
we just had another Blood Bowl call-in show.
Yeah, there you go.
The big events are coming for you Blood Bowl fans. The weekend of you're in Louisiana,
Okay, 2 weeks.
and I'm
Yeah.
in Atlanta.
All right.
The Games Workshop National Tournament is going to be in Tampa here at the Convention Center. So
gonna miss it,
tons
man?
of that's huge.
Gonna
That's
miss it.
huge.
He's going out of town. And he's
Yeah,
coming in
hey,
town.
listen, I commit to the boy. I'm gonna
Yeah,
take
that's true.
his-
Yeah, that's good.
He had
yeah.
ROTC, so he could not go to the Daytona 24-hour race. So I told him I would take him to the Atlanta Petit Le Mans, little Le Mans, Petit Le Mans, in Atlanta. So family first, folks. Family first.
Sure.
What an ass.
Sometimes. Sometimes not.
You talk to me when your kids don't come to the house for Christmas.
Oh, that's all
okay?
right. I don't need those kids.
Nice.
So check us out every Thursday night with this live call-in show, and then check out the podcast. That's pretty much
That's
it.
it. That's it.
I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Wayne.
Folks, Hey, may God bless you and your family. Please continue to pray for us. We thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.